my privilege and pleasure talking to the young people on such a very important topic. Distinguished speakers and the future of the country, very good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure talking to you and on a subject, and I'm so glad that we are partnering with on this second Yuva Sustainability Conference. It is again basically as I just would like to I'll take a few seconds to talk about Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Jamia Millia Islamia. As most of you know about Jamia, Jamia is the top-ranked university, central university in the country, and we are just focusing more on youth development, young students, and we are just trying to make them, of course, educated, but more of the futuristic approach in terms of especially. I would like to just mention one more thing here. Recently, in the NIRF ranking, that is the National Institutional Ranking Framework by Ministry of Education, our university got the third rank in the country. So it is evident that Jamia is committed towards sustainability development goals and of course the sustainability. That's why each and every student is again focusing more, and we are also targeting to develop them in terms of sustainability in their lives as well as sustainability in their career sides. You know, across the world, we are witnessing how climate stress is driving an unprecedented demand for breakthrough ideas and adaptive technologies. Innovation today is not a luxury. It is a necessity. From clean and decentralized energy systems to climate resilient food and agriculture, from circular approaches to waste management to sustainable mobility and land restoration. Innovation is redefining how societies respond to environmental challenges. We have many even startups in our innovation center. They are focusing on circular economy, and they're very advanced technological startups also. Like our startup founders are extracting metal from these lithium-ion batteries, which is again a very, you know, it's a kind of challenge. The kind of usage of the lithium-ion batteries are increasing day by day, and they are extracting 100% metal. So there is a zero discharge, zero waste is just coming out of those batteries. So such kind of inspiration they are just taking from, of course, the, you know, we may call it a crisis or the challenge. And Jamia is committed to develop its students as well as the people of the country, youth of the country. And we are also inviting people like youth from the community outside Jamia also, and developing them towards such kind of targets or such kind of goals. However, one critical shift is urgently required. Climate action must move beyond conferences, reports, and classroom discussions. While knowledge is essential, it must translate into practice. The solutions we need will not emerge only from policy documents or academic journals. They'll engage from laboratories, startups, social enterprises, communities, and field-based experimentations. And as I told you, we are doing that. This is where young people have a decisive role to play. The youth of today are not just future leaders, they're present-day change makers. I strongly believe that young minds should see themselves not as passive observers of the climate crisis, but as co-creators of solutions. You are uniquely positioned to combine technology, creativity, local language, and social responsibility to design responses that are innovative, scalable, and inclusive. At the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we emphasize that climate action is not confined to environmental sciences alone. Engineers, management students, social scientists, designers, economists, and humanities scholars all have a role to play. Climate challenges are complex, and so must be our solutions interdisciplinary. Like it is more interdisciplinary approaches, collaborative, and rooted in the real world needs. So we are also again focusing and encouraging our students of different faculties, and that is the beauty of the university. We are offering more than 200 courses from various disciplines, domains, like whether it's a medicine, whether it's law, humanities, languages, social work, um, fine arts, education, engineering, architecture. So the people are coming from, again, one thing is the different sectors. Another component is basically, generally, it is called like Jamia is mini India. So we are getting people from across the country, all states, all kind of, again, you may call the, in terms of the uh, strata, like in terms of, again, the all kind of people are coming, even the first generation learners, second generation learners, or the most advanced people also. So this is basically the kind of diverse population inside the university, and we are just creating their groups, and they are coming together and working on a solution for some challenges. So it is not only technical, as I mentioned earlier also. It is also how you are just practicing in your lives. It is not simply the just jargons or just environmental day celebrations. It's more on that, more like our students are working on social entrepreneurship. And recently, one of our uh, societies group, they are working on social entrepreneurship. They have created, and there's a worldwide challenge, race to climate action, and they won the prize of World Cup, and they have created uh, reusable sanitary napkins. So they have engaged community to develop them, and they have just developed those for the people, for the inclusivity purpose and for the sustainability purpose also. And there were more than 100 countries participated, and Jamia's team won that, and they have implemented and won that. That is basically social entrepreneurship challenge in terms of creating that competition. So such kind of already these mm, examples have already been set by Jamia. So I'm just talking to you just to motivate you more. And our students are also, new students are also participating in this conference. But the point is, our focus should be solution driven. Our focus should be implementation. Our focus should be, we should practice that. It's not simply we just preach it. So each and every, now, because this future is everybody's future. Like I may not be there after 20 years or 10 years, but of course, when we are leading to a world which is going to be, again, the kind of, you just look at the AQI of Delhi today. We are sitting here, but we are just facing that every day. So who will solve this? So uh, I'm 100% sure the people who are sitting and participating in this conference, they'll have the solution to just come up with something which would really bring some relief to our lives, uh, whether it's a climate or, of course, it is important to just practice it. I would like to particularly encourage our youth to take ownership of climate action beyond academic spaces. Do not limit your engagement to assignments, seminars, or examinations. Engage with communities, work on grassroots problems, prototype solutions, and explore entrepreneurial pathways that address climate challenges. Whether it is a clean energy venture, a sustainable agriculture model, a waste to value initiative, or a digital solution for climate resilience, every effort counts. The climate crisis also presents an opportunity to reimagine development, to build enterprises with purpose, and to align innovation with ethics and sustainability. The choices you make today as students, innovators, and entrepreneurs will define the resilience of our society tomorrow. Let us collectively move from intention to action, from ideas to implementation, and from concern to ownership. The future demands not just awareness, but courage, creativity, and commitment. I'm confident that our youth will rise to this challenge and lead the transition towards a sustainable, climate resilient future. I wish you all the very best for further deliberations. And I also thank Mr. Rajiv Tikku for bringing this conference to Jamia. And we are sure we will also have a physical in-person conference in coming new year. I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rehan Ansari, for your inspiring address and giving us a sense of what's happening at Jamia and also motivating us to work more towards climate action collectively. Thanks a lot for your kind words. Thanks a lot. I'll now invite Professor Seema Agarwal, Principal, Kanodia PG Mahila Mahavidyalaya, to deliver a special address. And those of you who are joining late, we have an older association with Kanodia. We organized our first Yuva Sustainability Conference in July in Kanodia, and Kanodia College was the co-host, and around 200 students and 40-50 faculty members were kind enough to join us there. And Dr. Rajendra Singh, who is the waterman of India, was our keynote speaker there. So that was a very engaging kind of a conference. Professor Seema Agarwal, please.
Namaskar to everyone. I again want to pay my gratitude to Shri Kalyan Kothari sir and Rajiv Tikku sir for having association with us and conducting collaborative activities on sustainable development. So let me say something about my college. I'm from a 60 years old girls college in Jaipur, the capital of Rajasthan, Pink City. Our college is established with the object of outreach of education to women because Rajasthan was at that time uh, the exposure of education to the girls was a little bit rare for Rajasthani culture. So at that time, two promising ladies has started this college, and they approaching house to uh, requesting their girls to study in the college. So the college has started with a couple of students in 1965, and now we have around 6,000 students in various UG PG courses. So I am fortunate that I am representing that college at various platforms, and here with Yuva sustainability programs. And today we all are connected here in a webinar Beyond COP30 Empowering Youth for Climate Change. As we all know that COP30 is the 30th conference conducted by various parties of United Nations framework working for climate change and environment sustainability. So when we talk about role of youth in every aspect, and especially when we talk about sustainability, we can connect youth with that yes, as sir was saying, that we would be here for few years, but our young generation, our youth, they will remain in this planet, in this city for a longer period. And it is the cumulative and uh, committed duty for all of us that we should do continuous effort for sustainability. And nowadays, as we can focus on the key factors which was decided in this 30th conference, there were few measures which are on part of government. But I want to focus on two things. One is adaptation and resilience, strengthening measures to help community to adopt unavoidable climate impacts, including a just transition mechanism for workers. So we have to focus only the things which are beyond our control. And another factor was inclusivity, ensuring indigenous people, youth, and civil society had a voice in negotiation. So these two factors of this COP30 are workable for a citizen forum or a group like us where we are talking about these things. So we have to, there are many things. One thing is that there are many role models. They are doing many things which are beyond our imagination. Like we cannot think of a city, whenever we visit any place in the city, Unfortunately, I can quote many tourist spots in Jaipur also. Apart from Jaipur, when we go to some hill station or any other tourist spot, the major thing disturb all of us is the waste, the garbage, which can be managed, or I will say which is created by us only, us and the local people, and it can be managed if we adopt some disciplinary actions. And for that, there are many role models. Like when I was searching some few days ago, there is a village in Rajasthan which is zero waste village. That village is Andhi. It is in Jaipur district only. And again, actually, I have been told that I have to focus on women role, gender, one side of gender, women role in sustainable development. So here I am quoting two examples. One is zero waste village, which is Andhi, and that village is also led by a lady. And another thing which is very much in reels nowadays, Navjeevan Vihar colony of South Delhi, which is again declared as a zero waste colony. Again, the secretary of the colony is a lady. So what I feel, that if we have to wake up people, if we have to uh, include our youths in all these aspects, we have to find out all these role model activities, role model villages, role model areas. So see this, when I read about the Adi village, when I read about the Navjeevan Vihar colony of South Delhi, automatically it came in my mind, when a village can be zero waste village, when a colony, it is very difficult to convince all the people who are staying in that colony, because we know that in those kind of big colonies there are diverse people are staying there, and you cannot rule on any people that you should not throw your waste like this, you have to segregate your waste. Then immediately a thought came in my mind, why can't I try that my college to be a zero waste college? And we have made a committee also, and we are working, and hopefully from the coming year 2026, maybe proudly we can say that in Kanodia PG Mahila Mahavidyalaya, we don't need hooper of Jaipur Nagar Nigam to collect the waste. We are trying many efforts that at least our college can become a zero waste college. So that will motivate directly, I think, 10% students of the college, that yes, when our college can become this kind of role model, then why don't our house, our colony, our lane? So what I feel, I am with youths in since last 35 years, and I always feel that they can be motivated only by creating examples. And other thing, we also have our incubation center named Narika. There also, whenever we organize some kind of community workshop, again we first we find out some role model entrepreneurs. Like there was an entrepreneur in South India who made some chemical from the garlands, मंदिर की जो फूल मालाएं होती हैं उनसे. So we online discussed with that entrepreneur, with our budding entrepreneurs. Then I found a compact compost idea made by a young girl, Pavni. So what we do, our team collect visuals, reels, whatever they get from social media or some other connections. Then we show all these to our interested students so they can get motivated. That why, when you can do this, why cannot I can do this? So my simple thinking is that there may be lots of conferences will be there, lots of workshop will be there, but we have to select few students and orient them to do these kind of activities. So when they can do this, then they will become role models for others also. And one more thing, when we talk about that women are good leaders, it's not like that. But being a woman, I always feel this kind of pride. There are many eminent worker like sir from Jamia Millia, Kalyan Kothari sir, Rajiv Tikku sir are there. So it's not like that, but always we go by some phrases in the society. So when we say that women can become real change makers, and I have only women students, so I motivate them by other things also. So what we need from society, that society should motivate women-led initiatives. And I think now the mentality has been changed. It was earlier what she can do. She cannot do. She has limitations. So a woman, a girl can do limited things. But now the mindset has been changed, and it is like that, that women-led ideas has been supported by the family and by the society. So we can see that more women leaders are coming in every area, and especially this sustainable development area, we can find more. Then we have the thing is that gender responsive finance is still lacking. As I can share my experience also, when we put some startup for funding with funders, our angel funders or some other funders, always they resist. Okay, the girl is leading the idea. So this kind of mindset we have to change. So we have to support women, as we can think that women have some unique, what I can say, some unique sense to convince. Convincing power is by default, it is more with women in comparison to men. It is not a general statement. It is just, I'm sharing by the statements by which I convince my students, because I have to motivate them. I have to uh, uh, create a fire in them that you are better than the other gender of the society. So you start thinking you can be a change maker in the society. And for that, we have a long association with State Pollution Control Board, Watershed Department, and this UNICEF. In all those collaboration, we are doing these activities. And lastly, one more activity I want to highlight here. We have an MOU with Bisleri India Limited. As Bisleri is blamed to create more plastic waste in India. So Bisleri has started an initiative under their CSR project, that they had MOUs with different organizations. They collect plastic waste from those organizations, they weigh them. So in my college also, every month we are handing over them more than 100 kg of plastic waste. And then they keep accounting of those waste. Whatever they collect, in return, they will give us something made by that plastic, not that particular plastic, but Bisleri has a big plant of recycling in Gurgaon where they make shirts, t-shirts, furnitures. So they gave us some kind of furniture. So we get one big bookshelf kept in our library. We get it from Bisleri. Then we got two nice benches made out of plastic waste. So this kind of thing again motivate the students. We say all these are made by the wrappers of Lays and chips which you are consuming. So keep them and we'll use them for reuse. So it was a very old concept, but still it is working, that we should reuse the thing. We should reduce our plastic consumption. So that's why we are also motivating our girls to reduce single use of plastic. And then obviously recycling. So for recycling also, we are working that small portion they can use as a recycling project. So I think that our efforts and these kind of initiative as taken by Kalyan Singh sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing those examples, inspiring examples. Hopefully, there will be more people to replicate and scale them up. Thank you very much for sharing those examples. And at this stage, I would also like to say that we have Professor KG Suresh has also joined in. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining in. And now I will invite Professor Vijayalakshmi Nanda, ma'am, for her special address. Again, a long-time friend and guide. She has been instrumental in Wire today. She gave us, my colleague Nana Gautam and I, the first opportunity to make the first presentation of Yuva for Sustainability at Miranda College. Ma'am, kindly deliver your speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv ji, and to my fellow panelists here, Professor Seema Agarwal, Professor Rihan Khan Suri, thank you for setting the context. I think it's very important for us to recognize the significance of this conversation because we are talking to young people who are actually leading the environment movement. In fact, it would be wrong for us to give them a message. It is their message that we have to hear in order to take this forward. At least in Miranda House, we believe that. I would like to, at the initial stage, say that, even much before Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, India has had very deep insights into environmentalism. If you take a look at conversations with Gandhi or with Rabindranath Tagore, or even for that matter, people like M. Munshi, M. Krishnan, they wrote about the forest, they wrote about the wild life, the soil, the water, urbanization, industrialization. They posited these ideas, what Guha would call a livelihood environmentalism. And also our people in the forests, the tribals, the indigenous people of India, so it may not be a full stomach environmentalism, but they spoke about that much before the affluent world did. So I want to give an acknowledgement to all those who have shaped our thoughts on environmentalism and who have played a pioneering role in shaping global conversations about humanity's relationship with nature. Then I would like to say a few words about Miranda House. We have had a very long-standing legacy, much before the climate action or understanding around climate action had come to universities and colleges. Miranda has had right from 1998, we have had very extensive sustainability support. So we started with the recycling, recomposting unit, which is set up here. We have a rainwater harvesting, we have gray wastewater recycling, we grow hydroponics, we have composting, we are now completely on solar energy. We look at plastic waste management, bottle balers, yarn making, paper recycling. We are completely sustainable on that. We have paper, the paper in college is coming through our own eco-sustainable units, and it has gained recognition as a very sustainable campus. Our key sustainable initiatives has been around, waste management and recycling. Other than that, we have looked at energy and green tech. But I would say the significant part of it is that it is all led by students. We have very important collaborations, similarly to what Professor Seema Agarwal said, with Bisleri, with other NGOs working on it, with government organizations. So we do have cleanup drives. In fact, whenever there is an election and if there is paper around the campus due to campaigning, Miranda House is the one doing the cleanup drive, then reusing that paper to have recycled paper for us. So we do a number of tree planting. We work with 5 villages which we have adopted, and I feel that that is also a learning on both sides. So we learn from those villages also about sustainability, about sanitation, about waste management, about energy management. So we have been recognized as a sustainable campus by the Ministry of Education, and recently Delhi University gave us a cleanest and greenest campus awards. But going beyond awards, we also have a very important initiative, which is we have looked at social entrepreneurship and at rural engagement. That has been a major kind of a focus for us. We have created incubation center around it. And recently, 2 or 3 of those activities around sustainable fabric has caught the eye of the government, so to say. Utkrisht Miranda, where we are looking at sustainable products, fabric, clothing that is being made by some of our students who are entrepreneurs, looking at eco-sustainable products around it. And one young faculty started something called Micholi, which is again on sustainable fabrics and sustainable colors, because we think that that could be one way of engaging with the youth on this. Apart from that, another very important program which has won attention and has got a number of awards is a program, is a small sustainable unit by young people called Nitara, which is looking at mushroom binding materials. So having packaging materials which are strong, which are resilient, but which are also biodegradable. So I would say there are a number of such initiatives which the college has had, apart from the ones that I just mentioned. But we are just beginning the conversation, and we are listening to our young people. We are incubating startups, not just of students of Miranda House, but our alumni or other young women who are working in those areas. One of those sustainability support groups that we have formed, we have also these, a kind of a partnership with the Northeast of India, because we have a lot to learn from them, the whole of the Northeast, and especially about sustainability. So in that, we are part of the bamboo initiative. So we're looking at bamboo products and around furniture, around paper, how we can sustain that. That's also a focus. So moving further on this, we have a very active science department, which is also doing research in this field. So how can we bring about greater research on this field so that we are able to create prototypes of these products which are sustainable in the market? So if you're looking at climate action, you need to look at finance for the climate action. You need to look at resources that you can mobilize, and how these adopting of these green behaviors can be done with the young people who are here. So when I'm looking at students, I'm just saying that instead of saying that we are going to be talking with them, I think it's important that we listen to them. And they have a lot to say, and they are leading programs right now. In fact, apart from the programs that I have mentioned, we are now associated with WWF, and we are with the ECO program, which mentors youths to explore their local environments, innovate, and transform the idea into impactful environmental ventures. So a whole lot of local, regional, national, global initiatives strengthened through collaborations with young people, looking at climate action, looking at sustainability products, engaging in conversations with the rural area where indigenous knowledge can be derived, and looking at high-end scientific developments. I mean, Jamia is leading the way. It's the third most sustainable campus in the country with the National Institutional Ranking Framework. So how can we learn from each other? Those conversations are also important. Our teachers are leading the programs. Our students are leading the programs. We would like to facilitate that. We would not want to recognize that. But and I think this is not a conversation for a day. This is a conversation that needs to continue. And the UN climate action programs have looked at, especially the United Nations Environment Program, have looked at something called green nudges. And we have been a part of that, just nudging people to adopt sustainable behavior. This is a conversation that cannot stop. We need to engage in this conversation, and we have to find creative ways of doing that. It is not a us and them situation. We are in it together. And this is very well said, that we need to engage with the youth in every sense of the term. So I would also like to mention that while we are doing all these activities on campus and beyond the campus, reaching out to the community, I feel it would be, one of the recommendation would be to look at and what Rajiv is doing. And I think it's a wonderful step to take, to look at young people as climate ambassadors or as environmental ambassadors, listening to them talk, knowing what their issues are. And that would be a better way to go about it. So my message would be, let's listen to young people, let's support their initiatives, let's find out how we can work together, look at synergistic conversations around the environment. So climate advocacy would be one. And if you take a look at India, we are doing very well in terms of our sustainable development goals. But as we sit in Delhi, we realize environment cannot be only a national or a regional goal. It has to be a global, collaboration. And how can we do that? And in that, we need role models, and those role models have to be young people. But I feel it's important for us to recognize that this October, we had Jane Goodall, who passed away recently. And Goodall said that we should not, I think it's very important for us to recognize that when she started working on the primates and moving to the forest and talking about environmental protection and promotion, and looking at sustainable, living, and looking at the connection between the environment and the human world. Uh, she was doing it, there were not many like her. And I feel that she dies at 90 years of age, and she still never gave up hope. And I think that is where the secret lies. So, and she said something which I find very inspiring, that if we all give up hope and do nothing, then indeed there is no hope. It will be helped by all of us, every one of us, taking action of some sort. So when it comes to climate action, all of us have to take action of some sort. I was so delighted to hear of the activities that Jamia is doing, of the activities that Professor Seema Agarwal's work they are doing. And now you have a lead speaker here, your keynote address by Professor KG Suresh, who is leading the India International Center. So I think these collaborations are important. And I feel that it should not be a one-off, it should not be an event. And it is up to you, Rajiv, how you're going to keep this conversation going. We have to find time. This is the most significant conversation, or as Al Gore had said, an inconvenient truth that we can't escape this situation. So while I keep up my hope, I also would like to look at the climate emergency we live in. Thank you so much. Thank you for a patient listening. Thank you. You are muted, Rajiv.
Thanks a lot for covering a wide canvas of the topic, and also giving us an insight into the kind of work you're doing. And I'm also pleased to tell you that we had two sessions where only youth will be talking about. So hopefully next time we'll have all you talking and we'll be listening to them. So that's the end and ambition we have. So thank you again for joining us and taking our time. And I'll now welcome Professor KG Suresh, our keynote addressee here. He heads the India Habitat Center, and he was formerly Vice Chancellor Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University and former DG Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and a long-time friend and guide who has been always there for us like a rock. Whenever we have something, we go back to him. Thank you, Professor Suresh, for joining us. And before you begin, I'd just like to welcome, we can see Eric Solem has joined us. Welcome, sir. We're glad to have you on board for this conference. Thank you for joining in. Professor KG Suresh, all yours.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. And all the esteemed panelists that I see, Professor Rehan Suri, Professor Vijay Lakshmi, Professor Seema. Today's topic is certainly in sync with India Habitat Center's own mandate of sustainability, of environment, of green energy. That's what we have been implementing. The institutions present here, from HUDCO to TERI, they are all headquartered at Habitat. And we already have a Griha rating of 4, and we are working towards a Griha rating of 5 in the coming days. And it is one of a building which has, though it was built in the early 90s, it is a building which continues to be a role model in sustainability, and which has not been replicated anywhere in the country or in the city. Of course, we are now considering, after I have joined, of replicating the India Habitat Center model in other parts of the country also. Congratulations. So very important, and great to see so many academicians who have joined this conversation, because, they say catch them young. So you need to really start with I remember as both as Director General at Indian Institute of Mass Communication as Vice Chancellor of the National University of Journalism and Mass Communication in Bhopal. We had invited, Padma Shri Umashankar Pandey, and he stayed in the campus and worked with the students, and we did something called Khet mein made or made pe paid, you know. So every student was encouraged, because they all came from mostly from rural backgrounds, to go back to their villages and then plant trees. But it's not just important to plant trees. One thing I initiated at IIMC when I was Director General there was that you name the plants after your deceased relatives as a memory for them. And I say that, we all believe that we have, I mean, in Delhi itself, there are so many memorials for Gandhiji, Shastriji, and, Atalji and everybody. So I think that it is important that these trees should be considered as memorials for your own relatives, and you should take care of them as if you are taking care of your own relatives. So tree plantation, of course, has become a fashion. Anybody goes, there are occasions when I go to institutions and wherever I have planted trees, and the next time I go, I ask them. Of course, they are a little embarrassed. I ask them, where is the tree I planted last time? So most of the people do not have an answer. They try to give some or the other excuse. But one thing I liked that in Raipur, where you have the Kushabao Thakre University of Journalism, if a guest is invited to plant a tree, it is taken care of. And the next time when the guest comes, he is not asked to plant another tree. He is taken to the tree and told that, sir, this is the tree you had planted, and the plaque is maintained. So, this is important. Planting trees is not enough. It is important that we groom them like our own children. We have to adopt trees. If we don't plant trees, it's okay. At least let us adopt trees. We adopt villages. We adopt, street animals, dogs, cats. So let us adopt a few, trees in our neighborhood, and let us. So it is not important that, because a lot of trees have been planted, but they are not being nurtured, so they die. So this is an endless process. So unless they grow into trees, these plants, that's important. Very importantly, we are in India, despite the fact that our, contribution to the so-called carbon emission is very low, but we are at the receiving end of the climate change. We are seeing it. I mean, floods in Rajasthan was unthinkable. The melting of, glaciers in the Himalayas, that's going to really lead into big time crisis. And floods and the kind of, earlier they had only cyclones, but floods in Kerala, the way they were devastated. This, of course, human encroachment and the other factors are certainly there, but these are matters of concern. But how much are we making our children, our students, sensitive to them? I'm a student of communication. One of the factors that I would like to focus upon is that, apart from doing all this, please remember, at the end of the day, the objective of communication is to bring about attitudinal, behavioral, and mindset change. You see, so if a communication cannot bring it out, I have no problems. I keep telling students all over, I still travel a lot, and I keep telling students that, good, take your selfies, take your photographs with celebrities, but start talking about environmental issues. Everybody is talking about political issues, everybody is talking about ideological issues, but these are issues that are going to, determine our future. Nobody is talking about those issues, very temporary, transient issues our youngsters are dealing with. We should encourage them to talk about these issues, whether it is through blogs, whether it is through Instagram, whether it is through social media, because today they are not reading newspaper, they are not watching television. So where are they? So then we have to go there where they are. If a small country can produce a Greta Thunberg, why not a country of our size? How many Greta Thunbergs should be there all over this country? I think that it is a matter of, we need to encourage young voices. That is also there. Why don't we start? I mean, like I would like to suggest to both Kalyan Kothari ji and Rajiv ji, and whatever is possible from our end, we will certainly be happy to, do from our end. That let us have a countrywide competition, essay competitions, speaking competitions, and of course, if any of the students in different colleges are able to do something concrete, something from his own side, her own side, which is a genuine contribution towards, climate related issues, environmental protection, then we reward them. That is also important, you see. So talking, of course, in order to communicate is important. But beyond that, if somebody is doing, a youngster is doing something good, can we encourage him or her? Can we give them an award? Can we think of some fellowship for them? Wherein, I mean, if they have done something on ground, then I think that we should appreciate that. We should also encourage journalists, communicators to promote this. And whoever gets, I mean, you have Ladli Women Awards for, gender related issues. You have, I'm on the jury of Ramnath Goenka Awards. And, there also you have on investigative journalism and stuff like that. There is a segment for environmental issues also. But there should be a dedicated, kind of an award or a fellowship to promote people writing not only in English and Hindi, but also in different regional languages on sustainability issues. We can invite entries, that should be on our agenda. You, Rajiv, have been doing a great work when it comes to community radio. Community radio can bring about a lot of changes, though it did not spread the way it was, planned to be. But the fact is that it is doing some, whether it is in the Mewat region or in other places, or in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, you have community radio doing good work, laudable work. Let us do something about it, So, as I said that, we need to now talk about sustainability action. We have done a lot of talking over the years, and we are still doing, we Indians are good talkers, but we need to, walk the talk. That's important. And how do we do that? I've just come from a trip of West Asia. Just early this morning only I landed, and I see the kind of work that is happening there, whether it is Abu Dhabi or it is Jerusalem. I went to all these places, and I have seen the kind of work that is happening. So I think that, our youngsters need to be inculcated with that kind of a, spirit to go out and do certain things. That's important. And because we have issues, they should be made familiar, and you have the content, Rajiv. Kalyanji has the content. This content should reach them. How do we ensure that? We have two principals of two of the leading colleges, both in Delhi and Rajasthan. And I think that if we can, kind of sensitize our students, may not be, we may get only one convert in 100. I think that would be enough. Swami Vivekananda had famously said that I just need 100 youngsters and I can change the face of this country. So, if I can get one out of 100 in every college, I think that we can make that change. Let us have a change makers club in every institution, and let everybody be inspired to become a part of that change makers club. That we are let us have t-shirts. We are the change maker, stuff like that. Let us be creative. Let us think out of box, and let us see, how to encourage them. Let them be, proud about the fact that they are bringing about change in the society, and we are recognizing them. So I think that we need to go proactive, Rajiv. It is the crisis is facing us, staring us on our face. We were fortunate. We are the generation which only got to see an iota of the the implications, but our future generations are going to see the actual impact. They are going to be the sufferers. So I think that, we need to sensitize them. They have not seen, they were not fortunate like us, you know. They have technology, no doubt about it, but they miss those things. Recently, organized a talk on birds in Delhi's neighborhood. I mean, I was born and brought up and raised in Delhi. And I remember the goraya, the other birds which were there all over, all around us. Today we don't see them. We don't see them. And we had speaker after speaker, and who said that, while we may attribute a lot of reasons like, no, it is the telecom towers that have made them disappear and stuff like that. But one factor that came up, Rajiv, interesting factor, is that now we are planting all over the foreign variety of trees and plants, not the native variety. The native bird is used to, you know, building nests out of the twigs and leaves of native plants, native trees. That is not there, so they disappear. Because they won't build a nest out of something else. They are not like human beings. कि अगर टाइल्स नहीं मिला तो चलो ब्रिक में काम चला लेते हैं, नहीं करेंगे वो। उनको उनके जो उन्होंने वो जिसमें पैदा हुए थे वो वैसे ही चीज वो ढूंढेंगे, वो नहीं मिला तो वो चले जाएंगे वो, you know. So that is why birds are disappearing, because the flowers they used to get, those the worms that they used to get on those particular trees, they are vanished. So they have also vanished. We can look at superficial factors. I'm not saying that these towers don't impact and stuff like that, but we are shifting the blame on something which we know that we won't be held accountable for. Oh, अरे टावर्स की तो जरूरत है, उसके बगैर कैसे रह सकते हैं? अरे भाई पेड़ लगाओ, यहाँ के लोकल पेड़ लगाओ ना। अभी ये exotic fruits खाने की आदत हो गई है, and we are falling sick. We think we are getting healthier. We go to INA market and get all those imported fruits which are not local fruits, which are not, we don't eat seasonal fruits. हम रेफ्रिजरेट करके खा रहे हैं चीजों को, हैं, तो वो उस सीजन के लिए है ही नहीं बना हुआ, लेकिन हम खाएंगे। I mean, this kind of, we don't have an understanding of environment at all. We don't have an understanding, basic understanding. And I'm talking about very educated people. So I think that what is important is awareness. Let us create, and you are doing a remarkable job, but we should go beyond this. And you are fortunate that you have got such, distinguished panelists who are very influential people with a lot of, I would say, influence over the local communities, students. So let us build a synergy, kind of. I call it the nexus of the good, because the evil forces come together very easily. I mean, चलो शाम को बैठते हैं, सब आ जाएंगे शाम को बैठने के लिए, बट दिन में बैठते हैं, कुछ बात करते हैं, चाय पीते हैं, उसके लिए कम ही लोग आएंगे, So let us have that nexus of the good. Let us sit together, and I am sure that let us make them familiar with their own local trees. How many Delhiites know that we only talk about Yamuna? Delhi had so many rivers. Delhi had so many rivulets. I mean, I remember growing up by a nala which has now been covered, and you cannot make a head or tail of it. We have finished all the nalas in Delhi. And the remaining nalas are only, they are allowed to, kind of be dumping yards, and they stink so much that after some time, the area is filled with concrete, and it becomes a real estate. And we have seen what has happened to Bangalore. We have seen what has happened to, Chennai. They have covered up all drains, all, rivulets, you have these drains which were particularly built only for the rainy season. I mean, they were there for centuries, but we don't have that model. I mean, in Delhi, we are talking about Delhi. I mean, look at the, I mean, if anybody goes to this Ghazipur, I mean, it's a shame on the national capital. I mean, it stings from far away. I mean, look at so many small, countries who have done, many of my previous speakers spoke about, waste, either, how we can handle waste efficiently. I mean, they are turning waste into gold. I mean, not literally, but yes, I mean, in terms of, manure, in terms of compost, and I mean, so much can be done, recycle. So, recycle, reuse, reduce, these are the three mantras that we should be. How many of us are still, our youngsters, are we teaching them to not to use, these plastic bags? I mean, are they using it in their real life? Are they only doing it only in the college events, or are they going beyond that? What about their clothes? What about their, how much are we doing, in terms of how are we turning our own office, say that, we need to, वो देख कहते हैं कि यथा राजा तथा प्रजा. The students are watching us, the children, the youngsters are watching us. If we are not practicing what we are preaching, then forget it. They are not going to learn it. If they see you doing it, so let us not put all the responsibility on the younger generation. Let us also start doing it ourselves. That is important. And this enlightenment is not, we always talk about creating awareness among youngsters. I think it is the seniors who need more awareness rather than the youngsters, because they are used to a certain lifestyle which they should change now, because change is the only constant. So I think that is the note on which I would like to conclude. But because this is a topic which is very close to my heart, so thank you so much, Rajiv, and Kothari ji, for inviting me to be a part of this distinguished panel, and I would be happy to contribute my might in whatever way possible.
So
thank you
thanks a
so
lot for
much.
sharing. Thanks a lot for sharing those wonderful ideas. We'll be following up with them, with you on those ones. Thanks a lot for joining us, and I'll also thank Professor Seema Agarwal for joining us, Professor Vijay Lakshmi Nanda for joining us, and also Dr. Rehan Suri Khan for joining us. And I'll also invite you to join us for the next session, which promises to be interesting and which is going to set a higher benchmark in sustainability, actually. Thank you very much. And over to Nana Gautam for taking this forward.
Thank you, Rajiv Tikku. Welcome to this session on COP30 outcomes and the road ahead. I am Naina Gautam, editor of Sustainability Karma, which is India's first and only such program on sustainable development on All India Radio. It's my privilege to welcome three stalwarts in the sustainability domain in India and abroad. We have with us Eric Soleham, former executive director of United Nations Environment Program. He's one of the best known green leaders globally. He's equally famous in India. Then we have Richard Reiki, vice chairman of Grant Thornton Bharat. He's one of the best known thought leaders in consultancy in India. He is equally famous globally. Santosh Jayaram. He is currently adjunct professor of practice at the School of Sustainable Futures Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. He is one of the most famous sustainability practitioners in India who has made a mark globally too. Let me begin by inviting Santosh Jayaram to deliver his address.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Naina. Maybe just I was listening to the earlier presenters before I get into delivering my thing. Thank you, Vijay Lakshmi, for bringing in Rachel Carson when you discussed. And you should know that, till 2011, we all thought that, the person who kind of discovered greenhouse gas was John Tyndall, because he was famous. Because of him, we know that the sky is blue, right? It was in 2011 when one retired petroleum geologist, Roy Sorensen, he was looking through some of the very old journals, and he found that 3 years before John Tyndall did this, there was a lady by the name Eunice Newton Foote. She had discovered, and she has published a paper. And it's sad that she was not allowed to present the paper. Actually, one of her male colleagues was asked to present, because women at that time were not allowed to present the papers. And it was only in 2011 we came to know that it was Eunice Newton Ford, 3 years before John Tyndall, who did these experiments. And I'm talking about 1859, when we knew that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, in the sense that her experiments proved that higher concentration of carbon dioxide warms faster, as well as it keeps the warm for a longer duration. Those were her experiments. So just on that particular note, let me get started. And of course, there was some discussion about, Professor Suresh also talked about tree plantation. It is really appalling to see where people are planting the trees. I have seen tree plantations in grasslands. Now, we call it as a grassland ecosystem for a reason. It is supposed to be grasslands. You're not supposed to plant trees there. Anyway, so with that kind of a context, let me get into, you asked me to kind of talk about the outcomes of the COP and the masterclass which I am presenting in terms of the role of standards in the world of sustainability. And I start that masterclass by an adaptation of my view of Amartya Sen in the book of Idea of Justice, where Amartya Sen says that if you want to deliver justice, which he says as nyaya to the society, there are two things which are required, which is niyat, the intention, and niti, which is, where he mentions niti as is institutions, regulations, standards. These are the things you require. So it is not just enough that you have the intention, which is the niyat alone, which will deliver justice to society. It is the niti as well. So it's both the niyat, the intention, as well as the strong kind of policies as well as standards, which are both required. And that's kind of the role which sustainability standards play, that even if you have the intention, for you to deliver it properly, you require the standards. Now, let me connect it to the COP in this particular case. So I'll make it fast, in the sense that, in the past 2-3 COPs, we have seen that finance is one of the critical areas of discussion, right? But there is a lot of talk, nothing much has happened, but that's another thing. But finance is a topic. Now let's look at finance. When you say we require finance and how the finance is deployed, how will we know, or how will we look at whether the finance is going into the right kind of places? And that's where some kind of standardization helps. Like, that's what the taxonomy helps. For example, India government released the draft of the climate finance taxonomy, and the reason why a taxonomy is released, because it says that these kind of areas are recognized as areas. So if you're financing, or let me put it this way, EU has a sustainable finance taxonomy. They ask the financial companies to report on that, and they say that how much of your investment go into projects which are aligned to the taxonomy, and how much is going which is not aligned. So you clearly distinguish that this is the finance which is going into climate change, and this is going to climate change mitigation. So that is where the kind of standards kind of help. Now let me give you another example from COP30. We kind of it came out with we need kind of how do you measure adaptation? There was quite a bit of discussion on the COP30. And what the COP30 did was it came out with a set of indicators under the global goal on adaptation to help track progress. Now, if you want to track progress as well, these kind of standardized matrices and all those things are kind of required. The biggest discussion in this COP30, and I kind of sarcastically did a post saying that the final outcome was just. Now, just has many meanings, but the real thing is just transition. And the whole of the just transition, when we say that we need, we have to agree to support the workers and the communities, because when you're moving towards a low carbon economy, there are quite a bit of people who are going to get impacted. And how do you get a kind of a fair transition for them? And when we are talking about such kind of things as well, these are standards. You require the kind of standardizations and this thing. So the sustainability standards do help in all these ways relating to the COP30 as well. But beyond it, in the masterclass, what I'm discussing is about 10 streams of sustainability standards. I'm talking about process standards, disclosure standards, thematic standards, labeling standards, benchmark standards, product footprint standards, impact measurement standards, sector specific standards, ethical standards, finance and investment standards. So there is a whole family of standards under the sustainability standards itself. And the idea is that I'll go back to where I started with, borrowing from my adaptation from Amartya Sen, is that we might have good intentions, but those good intentions, for it to precipitate as good to the planet as well as to the people, we require niti, and these niti, one part of the niti is having these kind of standards, and that is what the masterclass would be addressing. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh Jairam, for setting the context. I am now pleased to invite Richard Rekhi to deliver his address.
Okay, yeah, it's come. Basically, Santosh has already covered the COP30 and some of the issues which came. It's basically saying things have not moved too much, and we heard from the earlier speaker, things are being spoken, but nothing is being actioned. So the way I look at it is very clear, because I was involved very much into the corporate governance when it first came in. I find that this decade is going to be the decade for climate responsibility. I think it is going to be when climate action today is no longer a CSR, but it is a corporate dharma. It'll have to be followed in not only in ticking the box, but in actually principle. It is about embedding climate risk and opportunity into enterprise strategy. It cannot be a bolt-on strategy. It has to be part of the main strategy. The question that boards must ask is, are we climate ready and not just compliance ready? What boards are doing, are we compliance ready? They need to move from there. Our domestic climate risk, we've all seen it: floods, droughts, heat, monsoon variability, rain coming at any point of time. These are all impacting supply chains, workforce productivity, agriculture, energy systems. So corporate India must lead on adaptation and resilience planning, low carbon manufacturing, energy transition pathways seriously, and sustainable finance access. So this big problem in India is sustainable finance. And also what I find some companies are doing, they're just buying carbon credit. They just do what they want and they buy carbon credit and they feel they've ticked the box there. It's not going to work like that. And then responsible behaviors by each of us. I think that Professor Suresh also mentioned. But I think the more important is that climate is shifting the entire cost center to a growth engine. And the biggest example is Unilever, which actually had sustainability and it had growth. So I think it is time that we look at climate change as a growth engine. All the investments that are going to go in, how do we grow better and more efficiently? And many corporates are publishing sustainability reports but in my view, they lack credible decarbonization pathways. The data is not very reliable. The supply chain visibility is not there fully, the full supply chain visibility I'm talking here. And board level climate literacy. How much do the board actually know about it to be able to look at it? So sustainability needs to move from the corp communication desk to the CFO's dashboard, to the boardroom agenda, and the CEO scorecard. So standards, which Santosh spoke about, are just the beginning in my view. It is to create comparability. Regulation creates discipline, but culture actually creates conviction. If you have it embedded in your culture, how are decisions made? How is risk assessed? How our leaders are evaluated? How are supply chains chosen? The future will favor companies that treat climate action as part of their main strategy, and that is where it is going. And I just want to close with a few comments. This decade will be remembered for one of the two things: either the years when climate risk overwhelmed us, or the years when human courage and corporate leadership changed that trajectory. Corporate India stands at that pivotal point. Let us commit to three things: integrity in disclosure, ambition in action, and collaboration at scale. It can be done by one person. So it has to be the government, the academia, with the communities and the corporates, and above all, the next generation. If we get this right, we won't just build sustainable companies, we will build a sustainable civilization. Because people keep talking about the planet is endangered. In my view, planet is not endangered. It is the humans who are endangered. So I think we should know the reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard Reiki, for sharing those much needed words from your experience. I am now pleased to invite Eric Soleham to deliver his address.
A very good afternoon to everyone in India. Namaste, namaskar. There are some Tamils in the room. Vanakkam. Happy to be with you. I'm speaking to you from France. Look, a month ago, I was visiting the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, the Greenco Group have set up something absolutely spectacular. That is the largest integrated solar, wind, and hydropower facility in the world. There's nothing like this in the United States of America or in Europe. Only in China you can find similar developments. It works like this in daytime when Andhra Pradesh is blessed with a lot of sunshine. They use the sunshine to pump up the water in the hydropower plant, and then they release the water in night time, and then they have 24 hours of solar and hydropower energy to power the grid. And it's large. It's 6.5 gigawatt. I mean, many people won't understand. In Andhra Pradesh, this beautiful plant is 6.5 gigawatt. As an example, that's double the entire hydropower production of Nepal, is as much as the entire grid in Nigeria, functioning grid, which is the largest nation in Africa. And whatever way you want to compare it, it's large, large, large. And even better news, next year, Greenco Group will set up a similar facility in Karnataka, then in Madhya Pradesh, then in Rajasthan and in UP. So this is the start of an enormous drive into pump storage hydropower and solar and wind energy in India. And there is nothing like this in the West, so India is leading. When we discuss the climate talks in, say, Berlin, we focus in the wrong direction. It's true that the diplomacy leads basically at the moment nowhere. There's no major breakthroughs in the diplomacy. The lead is not in the diplomacy. The lead is in business, in the economy, where a lot is happening. There are two major global shifts which people don't understand. One is the shift from diplomacy to business as the main driver of climate action. And the other shift is from the global West to the global South. Look, back in the days, the European Union was in the lead on everything green. If I asked where to go for a good environment practice, I would say you go to Brussels, you go to Paris, you go to Berlin. Ask the same question today, I would say you go to Beijing, you go to Delhi, you go to Jakarta, because Asia and the global South is now in the lead. I spoke about what's happening in Andhra Pradesh, but move on to Tamil Nadu. I just visited the new eco circuit in Tamil Nadu. That is 7 different protected areas between Chennai and Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram is where you can watch across the strait to Sri Lanka. It's a dugong protection area, it's a turtle protection area, it's an international bird observatory center, it's a mangrove, huge mangrove forest protection area. It's a lot of green development. It's the double purpose of, yes, going green, but also, yes, improving the economy. Gujarat. In Gujarat, they are aiming at 100 gigawatt of solar and wind power and pump storage hydro by 2030. well, that will make Gujarat alone something like the 6th largest producer of renewable energy if it had been not a state, but a nation. It will be close to everyone else except for China and to some extent the United States. And these are not the small guys. This is Adani, this is Reliance. It's huge. It's again huge, huge, huge. So the shift, the global shift from led by the West to led by the global South, and from diplomacy to business, are not what's dominating the green agenda. And India is very well poised to be in the lead. I mean, India comes with a philosophy which is very green. All major thought system of the world speaks about the environment, but hardly anyone speaks as much about the environment as the Hindu Dharma. Look to all Indians, they venerated nature. The entire thought system is about nature. It's about nature to such an extent that all Indians made God half human, half animal, Ganesh, half elephant, half human, but full God. Hanuman, half monkey, half human, but full God. There can hardly be any thought system where you integrate man or humans with nature to such an extent, and it gives India an advantage in the thinking. Added, India also has a prime minister and a political leadership which really put environment front and center. I speak at many conferences. Prime Minister Modi hardly ever speaks about global climate talks. It's not really interested in that. He very rarely speaks about the mission. His topic is how can India go green and grow prosperous at the same time? How can India bring 1.5 billion people out of poverty, create a large, beautiful middle class, shine on the international scene by integrating ecology and economy into one? Western and basically leaders all over the world should learn from this message because it's an appealing message, and there's no dispute on this message in India. Even those political leaders, say Mr. Stalin in Tamil Nadu is not a supporter of the Prime Minister, or the communists in Kerala, which are not supporting the Prime Minister either, they never oppose the Prime Minister on the environment. They oppose on Hindu issues or cultural issues or the power of the center, something else, but not on the environment. Strong leadership, this philosophy, and now also a very vibrant business. Adani, Ambani, yes, but many middle-sized companies, Greenco, Acme, Renew, you can mention them all, and a huge number of startups are now driving business in a green direction in India. The other giant of the global south, which of course is China, is even further ahead. China, in May this year, added 93 gigawatt of solar energy to the grid. That's in 1 month, China added more than any nation in human history, except China itself and the United States of America, has ever produced. So this is enormous. The largest solar plants in China is, like, as I said, like oceans. You see solar panels in every direction. They just developed a new windmill, which is one windmill is 50 megawatt. Well, that means 20 windmills can make 1 gigawatt. That's as much as the largest hydropower plant we have back home in my nation, Norway. And the largest companies in China are far ahead. The biggest solar company in China is called Tongwei. They make more renewable energy or solar cells than any nation in the world except China. So if you had a ranking, it would be 1, China, 2, Tongwei, 3, United States of America, 4, India and Germany in the rank nations in the world. So India and China has now moved to the global lead, and this is very good. These are the 2 largest, most populous nations in the world. They're also the 2 fastest growing nations in the world, and China is growing at 5% from a bigger base. India is growing at 7%. So it's a lot of growth, and it's now largely green growth. And this should inspire the rest of the world to follow suit. Look, if you look on this in the context of sustainable development goals, there are 17 sustainable goals made by the UN. But in reality, there are three: peace, people, and planet. I spoke about people and planet. We can go green and we can go prosperous. We can go green and improving education and health and make life better for people while we protect the planet much better. And we need to keep peace. And here the Global South is also in the lead. Look, China has not been into any war since 1979. India has never been into war with anyone except Pakistan. Indonesia has never been into any external war at all. Well, these are the three largest nations of the Global South. Brazil has never been into any war with any external enemy, nor has South Africa. So all the large nations of the Global South have kept peace. The United States of America, unfortunately, has been basically into any war for the last 50 years. They've been into wars in every corner of the world. And also Russia, unfortunately, has been involved in a number of wars. So the more power shifts to the Global South, the more likely it is that we can keep peace. You may have seen that last week the United States made a new so-called global strategy for its own nation. Created a lot of international discussions. It's very interesting because it's a strategy which basically says that the United States should not take any interest in any others. They should dominate America, full of contempt for Europe, is ignoring India. The one and only nation which is treated with some respect in the US strategy is China. Why is that? Because China is strong. China stands up. China has an economy which is now much more efficient than the economy of the United States. So the United States understand they cannot just speak about China with the same contempt as others. But it's a very, very clear signal to the rest of the world that you need to stand up for yourself. And India is very well placed to do that because India is a civilizational state, not just a small state like some African or European nation. It's a civilizational state. India carries a civilization. India is also the fastest growing large economy in the world. It's the third largest economy in the world from so-called PPP measurement. And India is very strong leadership, strong business, strong civil society. So India can, on that basis, take its own agency and lead the world in a peaceful way, but of course with partners like Europe, China, Indonesia, Brazil, Africa, many, many others. So we don't really need the United States if they don't want to be with us in the struggle to defeat climate change, or to protect the world against dangerous diseases, or to provide development to the most vulnerable people in the world, say in Africa. Well, let's do it without them. Let's not wait for them. Hopefully, at some point, the United States will come back and work with the rest of us. But in the meantime, we just push ahead. Finally, a question which I very often get, and that is, what can young people do? And it was also answered by some of the previous speakers. The answer is a lot. Look, basically, every major development in human history which changed the world was led by young people. You can find examples from India, from the United States, from China, from everywhere on that. And I think the best capturing it was made by Mahatma Gandhi himself. He said, you need to be the change you want to see in this world. If you want to see a change in the direction of green, well, you must be part of that change. How can you do that? I'm sure every person who's listening to this discussion has social media access. Well, use that, showcase what you are doing, showcase what your friends or your classmates are doing, or what India is doing, or even if you see a good example from Latin America or Africa or wherever, from Bangladesh, well, showcase that and inspire people to do more. Take all these small steps like avoiding drinking from plastic. Why can't we drink from a normal glass? We need to avoid single-use plastic. Plant trees. Everyone can plant a tree. It's a symbol. It's a strong signal of the direction we want to go. And put solar panels on the roof. Ask the principal of the school to put solar panels on the school, or ask the leadership in the village to go solar. we take all these small steps, we are part of a huge movement which is changing the world. No individual, not even Prime Minister Modi, or for that matter, President Trump, alone can change the world. But if every action is part of a large movement, is changing the world. Look, when Mahatma Gandhi came back from South Africa in India, I think it was 1919, no one thought India could defeat colonialism and the United Kingdom. No one thought that was possible. It would take 100 years, 200 years. That was the perception. Well, it took very short time because a huge movement was created, led by Gandhiji, but with many other leaders also. And then millions of people took part in the movement, and it transformed India and the world forever. Exactly the same now with the green movement. If everyone plays their part, even if a small part, we create a massive movement which will solve the main green problems we are facing on planet Earth. Thank you so much, John Dravid.
Thank you, Eric Solehem. It's time for now to release the much-awaited Santosh Jairam Masterclass on the role of sustainability standards, building trust through transparency. This masterclass is the first in a series of Sustainability Karma Masterclasses curated by Pratik Raj, Associate Professor of Business Management and Health Sciences at University College London. Thank you, Pratik. Are you there? Pratik, are you there?
Yes, I am.
So we
Thank,
extend our gratitude to you.
thank you so much. It is great to be here and to be a part of this.
So without much ado, I will again request Santosh Jairam, Richard Rekhi, and Eric Solehem to say a few words about the Sustainability Karma Masterclass and announce the release of the Masterclass. Santosh Jairam, please begin.
Oh, sorry. I think I have already talked about the masterclass. So let me tell that it's a privilege that you could bring in Eric as well as Richard as part of this release, because these are two people whom I admire a lot. Eric, from the days when I used to live in Colombo, he will know what I'm saying. So from those days, a very early part of my career, I admired him for the work he has done in Sri Lanka. And of course, post that, it's a rarity to have a politician talk about sustainability so passionately. And of course, Richard, he has been a leader to look up for me always, and a person who really taught me how valuable the higher purpose in professional world is, and the role of culture. So I think it's a real privilege to have both of them here as part of the release, and I sincerely hope that this particular masterclass helps in decluttering, because I always hear the complaint that there are too many standards, which one to choose and all those kind of things. I sincerely hope that this masterclass would help in kind of decluttering and to decide as to what kind of standard follow when they are looking into the sustainability. So I'll stop there.
Richard Rekhi, kindly say a few words and announce the release of the masterclass.
Okay, so I don't think you could have got a better guy than Santosh Jayaraman to actually do this masterclass. He's a practitioner who has actually practiced this and you see, the one thing is academic part of it, and the other part is actually helping companies get there. So I don't think you got a better person than him. But the one point I will leave here, just one thing which I will say, Santosh, I'm sure your points are covering while you will go through this, which standard to take and which standard is a better one to look at. But I think the higher purpose is definitely something that we should bring back to the table. We have lost it along the way. We at KPMG, when I was there, we relaunched it, and it actually was the glue which bound the firm together. So just to explain to you, higher purpose is something beyond money. It's beyond your compensation. It is something much higher than that when people live. So if climate change gets embedded into the culture of people, I'm sure it will go a long way. Yeah. Thank you. And all the best for your masterclass. All the best for
Thank you so much. Eric Soleham, your turn for a few words and announce the release of the masterclass.
No, look, I can only endorse this really from my heart. I think it's wonderful. We need many, many more people, and particularly young people, to join the fight for climate justice and to solve climate problems and to protect Mother Earth much better. India is front and center of this, the most populous nation in the world, and with a huge number of benefits, or strength, which I spoke about earlier. So this is just wonderful. Let me just give two small pieces of advice. When we speak about the environment, let's make it joyful, interesting, fun, not boring in such a way that people turn off. Because if we don't make it exciting, we won't get sufficient amount of people with us. And the other is, let's make sure that even if this is for young people, let's make sure that environment is not just a cause for the, let's say the young and trendy in Bengaluru, Hyderabad, but that environment is also an issue for the industrial coal worker in Jharkhand or for the old farmer in Bihar. Let's make it a case for everyone. Every person in India and the world has a heart for the environment. Let's tap into it and mobilize everyone, not just some parts of the people.
Thank you very much and congratulations, Santosh Jairam. I am grateful to Eric Soleham, Richard Rekhi, Santosh Jairam for joining us. I would also like to thank Rajiv Tikku for his contribution. Rajiv, are you there? Rajiv, are you there?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, but
He's,
Rajiv,
Rajiv says something.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and I'm really grateful to Eric and Richard Rekhi and Santosh Jaram for making it possible to bring it together. And thank you, Nana. Thanks a lot.
now we will play a short clip from Masterclass. Tech team, play the clip.
Greetings to all of you, and welcome to this masterclass on building trust through transparency, how sustainability standards enable it. It's also interesting because you picked this topic at a period when the interest around the whole of the subject space is at its peak. At the heart of this model lies the recognition that justice is not an abstract or a pure legal notion. It is something which is lived and experienced. And that's how Professor Amartya Sen puts it. But what I did was I took that and adapted this to make this kind of a framework where I integrate three concepts, which is Niyat, which is nothing but intention, Nidhi, which are the rules, the institutions, the standards, etc., and Nyaya, which is the realized justice. Slide emphasizes that justice requires both the right intention as well as the right systems. So it is in that note I will get into the importance of the standard in the sustainability world. I've put together the ways by which the sustainability standards add value. So let's go back to this slide. And you will find that they provide a common framework to start with. So what I try to do here is that I have tried to bucket them into various categories of standards. And here you can see there are 10 buckets which I have arranged those standards. There are a huge selection of regulatory standards. When I look into the whole of the sustainability standards evolution, initially when we look into the past, it was mostly voluntary. By attending to this session, you have acquired a sense of importance to the sustainability standards and how they can be used or how it can drive the future of sustainability. So thank you all.
The complete masterclass will be available tomorrow onwards on our YouTube handle, Sustainability Karma. We will separately have a live interaction with Santosh Jairam. The date of the session will be announced soon. Thank you all. And before we move on to the next session, let's have a selfie of this interesting. Tech team, can you please take a
Can we
selfie?
request all to switch on their cameras, please?
Please be on mute.
Thank you.
It's done. So now we move over to the next session. For those of you who have joined late, I am Naina Gautam, editor of Sustainability Karma. Our esteemed speaker is Snigdha Kala, Deputy General Manager, Investment and Business Development, Blue Leaf Energy, to talk on climate action outside COPs. Over to you, Snigdha Kala.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to address this audience, which I believe has a lot of youth who will take the mantle ahead. We come from a very different view, I think, from the other speakers. We're a business that works in renewable energy. So we're setting up wind and solar projects across the Asian region. We're part of the Macquarie Group, part of one of their managed funds. Some of you may know the Macquarie Group is a financial investor who's been investing in different types of green initiatives for over 20 years in different sectors. Starting with renewable energy when it first started, which continues into energy, into EVs, into green transportation, into green hydrogen, basically everything under the sun which is green and related. Macquarie has a position that they have supported it with over the last 20 odd years. Currently, Macquarie Green Investment has about 35 plus companies, again, working in different kinds of green sectors or, climate change focused or abatement sectors. We are part of, as I said, a portfolio company under one of their funds, and we focus on building renewable energy projects across Asia. We have about a little more than a gigawatt peak, which is under construction, just about to get operational, and a large pipeline of about 8 gigawatt projects that are in different stages of development, and about 3 gigawatts of storage projects, battery storage projects, which are coming up again across Asia. Main markets where we operate is in India, one of the largest markets, in Taiwan, and in Japan, and also in Malaysia. I think the session was focused on what is climate change beyond COPs. So I had some slides prepared. I don't know if they will get presented, but if they're not, I can just carry on. Just let me know.
You can share the screen.
I can share it. Okay, sure. 1 second. I don't think I can share. So it's okay. I'll just carry on. When I was over the last few years, where we've been following this conversation, at least now there is absolute recognition that climate change is real. I don't think anybody can deny it. There was a phase when I was much younger where there was a certain level of denial that existed in the world. Currently, we are seeing the effects of climate change in our everyday lives, especially in India. Just in the last two or 3 months, there have been these extreme weather events, the cyclone in Sri Lanka, there was a drought in Somalia, the pollution levels in Delhi reached peaks, unprecedented peaks in October. There were wildfires unlike anything seen before in the US. There were torrential rains across India, Himachal, Uttarakhand, with massive damage, economy, lives, also the environment altogether. So at least that is no longer a question, and it's very relevant for anybody planning to live in the world for a period beyond 20, 30, 50 years. For us to sustain life as humans here, it becomes relevant what actions we take today. And the interesting thing about the actions that we can take today, the argument has often been is that economic growth has to be sacrificed for protecting the environment or for sustainability initiatives. And I believe that's no longer true. While governments are building policies like the speakers before me kind of reflected on, for several years, there have been different kinds of policies that have been coming up through different dialogues and different planning perspectives. But now this has become very achievable for everyday people taking action on ground towards abatement of climate change. And an interesting thought that came to me when I was thinking about this discussion is that climate action is a marathon. It is not just a biennial negotiation. And the question is for each of us, how are we running it? It cannot be left to a few weeks over a couple of years to discuss this issue, because it's very urgent and very imperative for all of us, for our survival, that it be discussed and solutions be implemented, not just created anymore, because there are a lot of solutions that are already in existence now. It's just a matter of scaling them and making them more everyday than they have been in the past. So energy transition, what does it mean? It means, supplementing the traditional sources of energy like thermal plants or coal plants come to mind, or gas plants that come to mind, with renewable sources of energy, which is wind, solar, supported by storage so that the grid stability can be maintained. Replacing transportation where fuel intensive modes have been in use for several 100 years now, to replace them with energy efficient or energy mutated transportation modes. And then there are many other industrial applications. For example, conversion to green hydrogen, using green hydrogen in industries, using heating, which is more energy sound, and then implementing various measures of circular economy, which is that you recycle, you manufacture with that mindset that you minimize wastage, and then you ensure that your entire supply chain is functioning in a sustainable manner. And then whatever is the remaining waste out of what you've produced goes back recycled, so as to minimize overall waste, which, as we all know, is a big problem and is creating a lot of damage to our environment. So who drives these changes? I think the speakers before me have very aptly indicated that it's the individuals. So people have to adopt these practices in their habits, in their nature. And once that happens, it will automatically start feeding into the communities where they work, where where they are making decisions and creating opportunities for businesses to thrive, for different societal decisions to be made. If individuals in those decision-making positions start demanding that things have to change and become more nature sensitive, then those changes will start occurring in the communities that we live in and also in the businesses where we operate. And the interesting part of this entire this entire concept is that it's no longer expensive or prohibitive to take on these practices. In fact, in most cases, this actually saves costs, which is what Rajiv ji was talking about earlier. It saves costs, it's more sustainable in the long term. There's more money to be made. It's just that the attitude and the habit of recognizing and realizing what those solutions can be and implementing them at scale, that requires a little bit of change in communities and corporations, which is what needs to be affected by individual action. So I think in India, we've actually done really well. In this last 9 months, the first 9 months of 2025, we implemented or we installed about 30 gigawatt of solar capacity in just 1 year, and about 5 gigawatt of wind capacity. And currently we stand up at about 250 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, wherein the peak demand that we have to 2030 is about 300 gigawatts. So we're climbing really fast towards really transforming our grid to becoming more and more renewable focused. And that creates challenges. But along with those challenges, there are solutions being created as well. So for example, one of the known challenges is that when you have so much renewable energy, because it is less predictable, there is a chance that you can destabilize the grid. So now there are solutions like what Eric Solem spoke about, which was the hydro project, the pumped storage hydro project. Similarly, we now have battery energy storage, which is even more responsive. So it can actually even within minutes deal with the grid instability and will then support renewable energy becoming more real solution for as a power alternative to the power source in India. And overall, in the first half of 2025, about $12 billion of clean energy investments were done. And so just to imagine the scale at which investments are being done. In fact, in my function, I'm talking to banks very regularly, Indian banks very regularly, and renewable energy is one of the most investable in projects, long-term projects, infra projects that banks look at when they're financing when they're making new financing decisions. So I think everything is really green for green energy right now, and that creates a lot of opportunities for the folks who are here, who are looking for career paths in renewable energy. There are positions that one can take up in investments in finance, wherein you drive decisions both on the equity side and on the debt side towards making green energy, scaling green energy solutions in all aspects of renewable energy or energy efficiency in different businesses. There are roles for engineers, of course, in when you're scaling or developing solutions. Engineers are extremely important to make the right designs, to develop the right procurement strategies, and also finally to execute these projects on the ground, because these are not paper projects, these are real projects that are coming up. And finally, policy and community managers to build the right kind of community awareness so that there is no fear in change. Because normally when there's a change that comes in any community, there's a fear that comes along with it of the unknown, of what will happen when this new technology or a new solution is implemented. How will my life get impacted as an individual? Are my rights being protected by these decisions? So just like investment managers and engineers, it's also important for policy and community managers to integrate these businesses or allow these businesses to grow in a manner that allows the communities to accept them and really make them their own, hold them with pride and develop them even more. So I think that's my few words for the group today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. But we have one question for you. Blue Leaf is engaged very actively with communities. What are the learnings for the counterparts?
I think everybody in our business is very engaged with the communities because this, for us, setting up, wind and solar projects, we're setting them up in rural areas where the people that we interact with, because these are land intensive projects, the people that we interact with are not very well educated about what these technologies are and what implications it could have. So in our view, community engagement is one of the most critical elements of project success, because that is what drives eventually the community coming along, working along with you, designing solutions that actually help them as well as the project, so that there is no conflict created when you're executing projects of this kind. And I think that's our focus as a business. There are also other developers in India. There are quite a few, like I said, 30 gigawatts, 35 gigawatts that came up last year. And I believe that all of our counterparts are also just as socially and sustainably focused, and just because of the industry that we're in, which is designed for protecting the environment and building on that. I think as an industry, we're very sustainability focused. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Snigdha Kala, for your time.
Thank you.
I now invite Sandeep Chandna, Chief Sustainability Officer, Tech Mahindra, to deliver his special address.
Thank you, Naina, and thanks, Rajiv, for giving us this opportunity. This is just for everybody's quick info. I work for a company called Tech Mahindra. We are an IT services and consulting firm. So something very unique about us, something especially in the climate change. We will be the first Indian company. We will be the first Indian company to be net zero by 2035, SBTi net zero approved. Previously I just heard Richard saying that, how the corporates are really working on it. So this was one of the examples that we really wanted to quote. And Snigdha, of course, mentioned that, how the renewables are working. So we are working very closely with all the stakeholders, whether it is to do with the various aspects of renewable energy or how you're optimizing. So that is one part of the whole part. Other part was, Rajiv and everybody on the call. I was on the ground at COP30 hearing people, and there was a difference. Means, I have attended other COPs, but this was something which, and we were, I think, so this time we didn't see many Indian companies to be there. There were only few. So, while I was hearing people, means there was a complete transition. Everybody today is looking for an execution. Whatever promises were being made, the questions were only around, what have you done? What is going to change? We heard about, so a lot of it was on promises. What have you done? Where are the gaps? Can we help you? Finances. So there is a lot of hope from this COP, and as we move towards next COP, definitely, I'm sure that we'll see a transition. And Singha itself, you would say that 30 gigawatt, and India was the key topic everywhere. I moved from from almost one session to another session. The topics were around the topic which I'm going to speak about, something on how the green skills would be made, or, how are youth coping up. And there were a lot of youth, means the focus was completely driven by youth this time. And most of the sessions, I saw that people were kind of looking at how would it really impact. And Sunita, you really mentioned that people were seeing climate till late 2010, that it will be a future generation. But now it is just, if I have to really look at it, what will change tomorrow? So everybody is kind of looking at what kind of changes we'll make, what are the kind of inputs that we look, what corporates will do, what governments will do. Pune, since you get a lot of examples, the city where I'm speaking from, we had never seen this kind of rainfalls before. Some things, and this is impacting biodiversity, this is impacting farmers, this is impacting organizations in terms of how the risks are being mitigated. Employees, they are kind of seeing the new kind of disease being coming up. And we all saw that, how heart attacks and these kind of things are really growing on such a vast and a larger scale. So the COP30 was around the youth. And if, the key messages, if I can share the screen ahead. Yeah, I can share it. So I'll just.
Yeah, you can share the screen.
I want that.
Tech team, please help him share the screen. Yeah, it's being shared.
So, as I said, means one of the sessions, there was Kshitij. He kind of bogged me with the questions, kind of questions he was asking. I think so he would be maximum around 35. So the youth which I saw during COP30 was the amazing. The people who were really interacting with me were the people who were really asking questions. What is it in for me? And what is it that we can do? The kind of events that we were seeing. So a lot of it was around youth. And the experience that we also bring in means Santosh just left. He is kind of leading one of the colleges, and in terms of climate change and other things. Same as for Mahindra University, we are working with the students on the climate change, and a lot of those things are the examples which I'm really bringing to this session today. I'll be quite quick. Fresh perspectives. Every youth today means I have a daughter 4 years old. She has started asking questions about what is climate change, how is it going to impact us, what is it that imagine means that when I was 4, I would not have even thought about it. So the growth is coming from that level. One more thing which I really wanted to highlight during this COP30, my focus was on 2 parts. One was on the green skills. Second was on how technology will play a major role. I had meeting with UNFCCC, and I was very clear on the topic, saying that until we make technology as an horizontal, and on that all the climate-related impacts, the AI, what we are speaking about, Gen AI, technology, data analytics, everything will be the key game changers as we move forward. So for that, if we start imbibing youth today, the future will be great for them. Awareness, how the journey from students to moving into till the time they're corporates, awareness, engagements, leadership. I have an organization of almost, the organization that I work, about 150K people, and most of them are in the youth range. When I speak to them, I see the passion. I run a program called Green Marshals. And Green Marshals, you would see the kind of motivation means this is a voluntary work which these employees do. And the green marathons, you look at how do they celebrate the green days, everything, you could see a passion towards them, and they would want to be seen as, they are the leaders for the climate change tomorrow. A lot of the COP30 events that happened were, kind of this young leaders, and everybody brought them to the front. Some of the basic things, what they could do right: consumption, energy use, transportation, food choices. I would strictly come to, what is the opportunities here? And this is for the youth. And this is where if I had, 10 to 12 sessions in COP30, about 7 of them I spoke about green skills. And this is for everyone. If, youth, you're listening today, I take 100 interviews and I select only one person. That is the lack of the knowledge today on sustainability. As you understand the subject, this is a place, and future is here. You have you go through foundation, skill sets, experience, specialization, leadership. In all these steps, whether you're looking into, there are technical skills on data analytics, there are communication skills, there are project management skills, especially the colleges. They are the ones who will have to produce this. These are the roles: renewable energy engineers, sustainability managers, environmental scientists. So all these skill sets are in need today. And these have very niche skills, Means you can't say that, somebody who has not understood, or who has not passed a degree, or who doesn't understand this can do this. No. I was just put up an example. I was called to one of the very brilliant buildings in London to speak to so-called ESG experts. I asked only 3 questions. One was, anybody who gives me scope 3 categories, 15 categories, I'll give a chocolate. Not even a single person got up. So, there is a knowledge gap, and this is the place where it's an opportunity for youth to pick up, learn more, and the world is going to be yours. One is on the social impact, other is on to looking at how this will be also an opportunity for you. So pick it up. I said universities are putting up as curriculums, hand-on climate projects, which most of the companies are doing, whether it's in terms of renewables, social. A lot of companies are doing social impacts. So, those could be the large projects, which somebody also asked a question that, how social is getting. So environment, social, and governance. And Richard spoke about governance. Very important that look at the frameworks. I would also want to put up right here, because if you see how the governance plays a major role, if the boards are acting rightly, a lot of the troubles that, the regular impact in the organizations are being seen, all those would be stopped. So ESG itself will play a major role. Green campuses, build partnership for climate leadership, encourage student-led committees, those are the ones, and grow them to a level. Sustainability Karma can itself play a very major role here. Power of youth, 72%, are taking climate action in their countries. Say more than 6 million are participating in climate events. 53% are the green jobs. So numbers speak by themselves. In the end, I would only leave a message saying that, you are not the stakeholders. You are the leaders for tomorrow youth. Youth leaders like yourself are not just the participants in this change. You're one who will shape and push the boundaries of what's possible. And future leadership needs leaders who would really drive the next step of change. That's all from my side. If any questions, more than happy to answer, bring up and answer those, please.
So anyone from the audience have a question for Sandeep?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Please introduce yourself and
Good evening, everyone. I am Apurva Mittal. I am an master's student in botany at University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. And sir, my question to you is, what unique responsibility do you think India's tech companies have in climate action, given their huge scale and influence across industries?
Very pertinent question. And, I really love this question because, see, in the end, what is ESG? ESG is something where you are making an impact in terms of carbon emissions, in terms of bringing a change. And digital, what is it doing in the end? Every digital step that you're doing is kind of reducing the carbon emissions in one way or the other. You optimize a process, you digitalize it. That means you're reducing the carbon emissions in one stage or the other. So in this, building platforms as I started with saying that, understanding of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 itself is the biggest challenge. And that is where the platforms, we built a platform called I.Sustain. They're helping the companies to first is measure, then take the targets in terms of reporting, the TCFD, and there are various forms of these technologies which will help look at that. TCFD, the climate related risks. You have those platforms which will help you mitigate those climate related risks. AI playing a major role, the predictive analytics, how the AI will help those predictive analytics go in a much faster way. The energy use, when do you need the grids? And again, coming back to the RE part of it, you would see in which part of the grid do you need at what point of time an optimization, or when the grid has to be shifted to RE, what could be the future scope? So all those aspects, AI is playing a major role today, and that's a place where the tech sector is one of the key to. And as I said, this is where my key message to COP30 was: technology is the key. Let's put it as a horizontal, and all of them agreed. UNFCCC leader, if you hear me out in the forums, exactly they agreed to what I said.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, for that insightful answer.
Hello.
Sandeep, for those insightful answers and sharing everything with us.
Sure.
Yeah. So, few sessions.
Thank you, Nana. Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the session 3A, that is Youth at COP30 and Beyond, a segment that truly captures the spirit of this conference. I am Dr. Manisha Pandit, Senior Manager with Yuva for Sustainability. If COP30 reminds us of global commitments and negotiations, this session is about ownership, action, and leadership, as has been talked by Professor Bijay Lakshmi and Professor K.G. Suresh. So this session is led by the youth who aim to shape climate solutions on the ground. For session 3A, we are honored to have Professor Dr. Shahid Rasool, Dean School of Media Studies, Central University of Kashmir, guiding today's discussion with his academic and media expertise. I also request Sir to be he's the chair of the session. In the session, we also have with us Yuva speakers. We have Apurva Mittal, MSc Botany first year from University of Rajasthan, Zishan Saifi, BCA third year from Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut, Sabyasachi Senapati, MSc Chemistry second year from Samanta Chandra Shekhar Autonomous College, Puri, Ishika Bhardwaj, second year student of Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Comm from Haridev Joshi University of Mass Communication and Journalism, and Teesta Bhavsar, BA Economic Honours first year student from Kanodia PG Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Jaipur. I now request Professor Dr. Shahid Rasool to please deliver his address.
Good evening, and thank you, Dr. Manisha, for starting this session beyond COP30, empowering youth for climate action. In fact, it's an honor for me to be part of something that's very relevant, very important, and very futuristic, because we will survive only if the planet Earth survives. So to begin with, I must first thank Kalyan Singh Kothari ji, Secretary Lok Samvad Sansthan, whom I know for quite some time. I have seen him, and I always lovingly call him the youngest man in the forum, because he has defied the age, and he believes that age is just a number, and he is engaging with youth for a very long time. Also thankful to my friend Mr. Rajiv Tikku from One World, who is Secretary of Yuva for Sustainability. As has been said by Manisha, we have a panel of very young people, dynamic people, because it is the young and the dynamic digital natives who will drive the change and who will be part of the change. Apurva, Zishan, Sabyasachi, Ishika, and Tista. They will bring in a lot of energy and a lot of thought, for this particular program. But before we, listen to these young minds about the ideas that need to be followed to, preserve our planet Earth, we have to think in terms of the issues and challenges that the climate change has, thrown. Because all of us have experienced it, that there is rising global temperatures because of greenhouse emissions, which are resulting in heat waves, melting glaciers, and the altered climate patterns. We have also seen in our own neighborhood, especially, in Kashmir, we are experiencing this time severe cold, which was not, maybe 5 or 10 years back. But we are seeing, the -4, -3 temperature in Kashmir in December. In fact, it started from late November itself, which was not earlier the case. Similarly, in Kashmir, what we used to experience was, four distinct seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. And there was definitely a perceptible and visible change between these different seasons. But now we are seeing that these things are now merging. I mean, we don't see that much a big change in these seasons. And also, the climate is shifting. Like it used to be moderately cold in this particular time, and then it will be followed by the snowfall, and gradually from February and March the snow will melt, and then the life will again begin, and flowers will start coming in the month of March, or in April. What we experience in Kashmir now is that flowers start coming in February itself, and November becomes too cold, and January becomes moderately cold, and then you have some snowfall also. This, the global, what we call the climate change and the global warming, earlier we thought, it is a Western concept. Some 10 years, 15 years back, when people talked about climate change and they talked about the global warming, we thought this is a Western thought, and, it's not going to, impact us. Then I had the, honor of producing one film on the climate change and the global warming, which incidentally won me a national level award also. In that, I had seen how locally the climate change is impacting our weather patterns. It's impacting, our flowering seasons. It's impacting our agricultural practices. It's, impacting our life and behaviors. So these, global temperatures which are rising, they create extreme weather events, which result in intensified floods, which most of us are experiencing. We are now experiencing more droughts, cyclones, wildfires, and heat waves, causing large-scale human displacement and economic losses. Then there are, the reports of the sea level rising, threatening the life in the coastal areas. Some of the islands will probably vanish in some years, because every year the water level of the oceans is increasing. This at a different level is also creating what's called the food security. Then there is water scarcity. Then there is agricultural distress. This is all related to the climate change, and the global warming. Climate change also disrupts the ecosystem, leading to coral bleaching, species extinction, forest degradation, and loss of ecological balance. In fact, it's two-way. One, that we are degrading our forests, and second is because of the the climate change and the global warming, we are losing the forest cover. And then, of course, there is this irresponsible act of development in the forest areas, where in the name of development we are cutting the trees, we are destroying the ecosystem of our forests. Then at a different level also, when the climate change and the global warming is impacting, we are seeing spread of vector-borne diseases, heat-related illnesses, respiratory problems, and mental health stresses are linked to changing climate conditions. And at a different level, it's also causing economic inequality and climate justice, because people are now shifting their livelihoods because of the climate change, because of the global warming. There is a lot of people who are moving from their own places to the urban areas, which is creating a different sort of a problem also, because rapid urbanization, poor infrastructure, informal settlements make cities more susceptible to floods, heat waves, and stress the pollution. Now, to mitigate these issues and fight climate change, we need strong policy and impactful governance. Of course, lots of conferences are being held, global summits are being convened, youth are being engaged, not only at the international level, at the national level, at the school level. There are lots of people. I am also coming from a university, and every year we have number of events in the university where we discuss about the climate change, we discuss about the global warming, we discuss about the destruction that these things are bringing to our planet. But what we observe at the end is that there is lack of political will at the international level, at the national level, at the local level. there's a weak international cooperation. We don't cooperate because if India implements something, it will have definitely its repercussions on the neighboring countries also. So when one country decides not to become part of this global action, then the other country, even if it does something, it doesn't. So unless there is a global agreement on certain things, especially on reducing the emissions of the emissions which are resulting in the depletion of the ozone layer, these things will not work much. And unless we have adequate implementation and climate policies, that will hinder effective climate action. So what's required is there have to be pressure groups at local level, at national level, at international level, which will make the governments accountable for all these things, issues that are happening. Now coming to, because it's a youth forum basically, coming to how youth can help, as has been said by one of the speakers in the previous session also, okay, youth have this energy, they are digital natives, they have the technology at their available to them. Now social media is making things spread faster, communication becomes easier, and grouping the people becomes much easier. So what's important is, first is, they say live by example. So how can we live by example? All youth, they can now adopt a lifestyle by conserving energy, using, public transport or bicycles, minimizing plastic use, choosing sustainable consumption habits. That's important. Climate awareness and education, youth can play an important role, as I said, in social media, because most of our youth, and India has this advantage of being the youngest country with a huge population, young population. So we can engage in community forums and in education institutions, as was being said earlier also, to spread awareness about climate change and educate for responsible environment policies. Besides that, we also need to participate actively in environmental movements by joining or leading climate action groups, eco clubs, tree plantation drives, clean up campaigns, and climate strike helps mobilize and collect. Now when we say be a part of this particular movement, it has to begin from our home, it has to begin from my society, it has to begin from my mohalla, it has to then become from my city, from my institution. Then gradually, they say that we do our bit at our own level, the things will definitely change. One of the things that we immediately can probably do as the youth is to increase the green cover of our houses. Plant, as much as is possible. If there is not enough space, you can use your verandas, you can use your terraces, put green plants wherever you can do. At least some of the things can be done at your level. Then youth can also contribute by developing and promoting eco-friendly technologies, renewable energy solutions, waste management, innovations, and sustainable development models. When we say this, we don't say necessarily because we have not invented the wheel. Lots of things have already been done at global level. What's expected of the youth is to go and understand them. Now technology has made it very easy to see what is being done in other countries, what is being done in other countries which don't have. You see, when we see at our own country, we have the highest number of cities which are choking for fresh air. Our capital, Delhi, is having round the year, and especially during these winter months, it has a high what we call the polluted air. The levels of the pollutants in the air, and it becomes difficult to breathe. And somebody said other day that being in Delhi for a day you will smoke 30 cigarettes a day. The impact will be that. So what can be done is, one is that we develop our own local, solutions to the problems. Second is to try to understand what others have done and their places, and try and test them, and then spread the message about them in your own, areas, in your own cities, and engage, with local governance, participate in public consultation, and holding leaders accountable. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I, throw this particular session open to discussion, and I will be looking forward to listen to our young ambassadors who may have more fresh ideas about the climate change. And then at the end, probably I will make some more concluding remarks. Thank you very much. You are on mute.
Thank you, Professor Rasool, for your insightful lecture. I now invite the Yuva speakers. I first invite Ms. Apurva Mittal.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. And I would also like to thank our chair, Shahid Rasool sir, for his illuminating words on climate and what needs to be done in our current times. I'll be starting my piece now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Apurva, an MSc Botany student from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and I want to share what I took away from the COP30 conference and what, more importantly, it means for all of us. COP30 was the global climate conference held in Belém, Brazil, near the Amazon rainforest, one of the world's most important carbon sinks. Nearly 200 countries came together to discuss how the world reduces emissions, protects forests, and adapts to climate impacts. Having conferences like COP30 matter because without this global attention, climate action would still just remain catching up while our resources and livelihoods move closer and closer to their irreversible collapse. And for me, the biggest realization was this: climate crisis is no longer something happening out there in the future. It's already shaping the world we live in, whether it's extreme weather, rising pollution, or increasing pressure on our resources. COP30 reminded us that global leaders can make promises, but the real impact has to come from the ground. Because beyond any large efforts, there's a huge role for us at a very basic level. Most of us think our individual actions are too small to matter, but they do. Waste segregation, cutting down on single use plastics, volunteering in environmental projects, these all seem simple. But when thousands of young people take them seriously, the impact becomes massive. Ground level sustainability isn't just about perfection, it's about consistency. Another takeaway for me was that youth influence works in two ways. First is through ideas. We think differently, we adapt faster, and we are not stuck in any outdated systems. Second is through pressure. When young people speak up, question leaders, and push for transparency, it forces the institutions to stay accountable. And the best part is, we don't have to wait. We already have the platforms, the networks, and the digital tools that allow us to take action right now. So, what's the road ahead? I believe in it like it's about being solution oriented. We can't afford to stop at just awareness. Whether it's learning climate skills, joining sustainability projects, or taking initiative, and even simply changing our habits, we have to be part of the work. The future we want will not be handed to us. We have to build it ourselves. In the end, my takeaway from COP30 is simple. The climate change is big, but the opportunity for impact is even bigger, especially for younger generation. If we do our part today and take responsibility, we can turn this global challenge into real change and leave behind a world where future generations can live with dignity, opportunity, and most of all, safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Apurva. I now invite the next Yuva speaker, Zishan Zefi. Over to you, Zishan.
हेलो गुड इवनिंग थैंक यू मैम मेरा नाम मोहम्मद जिशान सैफी है मैं मेरठ चौधरी चरण सिंह यूनिवर्सिटी मेरठ उत्तर प्रदेश से बीसीए का स्टूडेंट हूँ और आज मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करना चाहता हूँ मैं ग्राउंड लेवल पर कम्युनिटीज के साथ क्लाइमेट एक्शन पर काम करता हूँ मेरे लिए क्लाइमेट एक्शन एक पॉलिसी नहीं बल्कि रोजमर्रा जिंदगी का एक प्रैक्टिस है गांव के लोग ज्यादा प्रैक्टिकल बातें समझते हैं इसलिए बियॉन्ड COP30 का मतलब मेरे लिए है कि छोटी छोटी आदतें अपने अंदर लाना जैसे पानी बचाना पेड़ लगाना वेस्ट को अलग रखना और आसपास साफ सफाई रखना ये सब चीजें यूथ लीड एक्शन ही सबसे बड़ा बदलाव लाता है ग्लोबल स्टेज पर स्पीसीज होती हैं लेकिन असली काम तब होता है जब यूथ गांव में जा जाकर घर घर तक मैसेज पहुंचाते हैं हमने अपने गांव में बियॉन्ड कोप का एक सिंपल मॉडल बनाया है जिसमें हमने किचन गार्डन बनाया स्कूल में प्लांटेशन कराई और प्लांटेशन ड्राइव कराई और क्लाइमेट एक्टिविटीज कराई वुमेन ग्रुप्स को ट्रेनिंग दी और रेगुलर अवेयरनेस सेशन चलाते आ रहे हैं गांव की महिलाएं हमारे क्लाइमेट वर्क की स्ट्रॉन्ग पिलर है जब उन्होंने कंपोस्ट बनाना वेस्ट सेपरेट करना और किचन गार्डन बनाना शुरू किया तो हमारा गांव एक रियल एग्जाम्पल बन गया कि चेंज ग्राउंड से ही शुरू होता है साथ ही हम जो पॉन्ड रिस्टोरेशन कर रहे हैं वो वाटर रिचार्ज और बायोडाइवर्सिटी और एनवायरनमेंट को रिवाइव करने का एक परफेक्ट लोकल सॉल्यूशन है। मेरे लिए बियॉन्ड कोप 30 का मतलब है कि हम ग्लोबल प्रॉब्लम्स का लोकल सॉल्यूशन बनाएं, चाहे वो कंपोस्टिंग हो, प्लांटेशन हो, वाटर सेविंग हो या अवेयरनेस वर्कशॉप हो। क्लाइमेट कोप 30 पर हमारी वॉइस तभी मैटर करेगी जब हम ग्राउंड पर रियल काम दिखाएंगे। मैं रोज कम्युनिटी को बीच रहता हूँ और उनके एक्सपीरियंस ही मेरी स्ट्रेंथ है। और लास्ट में मैं बस इतना कहना चाहूंगा, बियॉन्ड कोप 30 का कोप 30 एक मूवमेंट नहीं, मूवमेंट है। और ये यूथ ही एक मूवमेंट की हार्ट बीट है। यूथ की एनर्जी और वुमेन की लीडरशिप मिलकर ही एक सस्टेनेबल भारत बनाएगी। यूथ आर नॉट द लीडर्स ऑफ टुमारो, यूथ आर द लीडर्स ऑफ टुडे। थैंक यू।
Shukriya Zishan. We now move to our next speaker, Mr. Sabyasachi Senapati.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening to all. I am Sabyasachi Senapati, a youth representative, pursuing my MSc in chemistry from SS Autonomous College from Puri. As a youth representative of Odisha, I have already a NSS volunteer and I have done some work in my adopted village from last 5 years. I am going to tell about the rural development, what I learned from our COP30. As a youth representative of Odisha, I believe in the rural development is the must stand at the heart of the climate action agenda beyond COP30. With COP30 emphasize global climate justice, it is time to amplify the voice of rural youth, understand both vulnerability and potential of their communities. By equipping them with a green skill, technology access, and a local leadership opportunity, India can transform its rural landscape into a model sustainability development, where young people are the catalysts of adaptation, resilient livelihood, and a low carbon growth. Beyond COP30, empowering rural youth is not a development strategy. It is a foundation of climate secure future of India. In the field of environment effort, in regenerating mangroves area like Chilika, helps reduce storm, enhance biodiversity, and it creates sustainable livelihood for local fishers. Such grassroots climate adaptation directly echoes COP30's global priorities. Young innovators are making clean energy accessible and affordable. The work supports local carbon, rural development, and reduces dependency on fossil fuels. Discussion on the topic, the Beyond COP30, empowering India's villagers from the cycle-prone coast to the drought-affected inland belt, are living classroom of resilience where young people are already driving a chance through the climate smart farming, waste management initiative, and the grassroots awareness campaign. Youth are also a driving chance in education, community awareness, conducting a climate literacy workshop, digital campaign, and a community dialogue. By empowering villagers with the scientific knowledge and a disaster preparedness skill, they build a local resilience to flood, waves, and cyclones. At the end, the rural development is not just about infrastructure. It is about protecting India's ecology, securing livelihood, preserving indigenous knowledge, and ensuring dignity of our the most vulnerable beyond COP30. The youth of Odisha, of the youth of India are sending a clear message. Meaningful climate action must begin with village level, not from the urban. With the young people leading as innovator, guardians of nature, and a partnership in policy. The voice is not merely a contribution, it is a driving force that can shape a climate secure, equitable, and a sustainable future for rural India or rural Odisha. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabyasachi. I now invite Ishika Bhardwaj.
Yes, ma'am. Greetings to all. I am Tishta Bhavsar, pursuing economics honors from Kanodia PG Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Jaipur, Rajasthan. According to me, COP30 in Belém, Brazil was a real game changer, a real COP of action that brought together over 480 initiatives across 6 pillars to push the Paris Agreement forward in ways we have all been waiting for. Let me break it down very simply. On energy, industry and transport, we saw a real momentum for phasing out coal and cleaning up emission. Forests, ocean, and biodiversity got a boost from things like AFR 100 pledging resources. Food and agriculture shifted towards sustainable models through new alliances. Cities focused on toughening up infrastructure and water system against climate hit. We tackled human development for fairness and unblocked big wins in finance and tact to make it all happen. But every coin has two sides, and learning one will not help in the development of our world. The Environment Minister of India quoted COP30 should be the COP of adaptation, which means that it is the time to move from promises to practical actions on climate resiliences. As a young resident of Rajasthan, I believe I have a meaningful role in supporting COP30 by turning awareness into action at a grassroots level. I began by educating myself and fellow youth about climate change, renewable energy, water conservation, and a sustainable living, especially in a state where water scarcity and rising temperature are daily realities. I actively participate in youth forums, college initiatives, NSS, and local campaign to spread climate literacy and promote practices such as water saving, reduced plastic use, solar energy adaptation, and protection of local biodiversity. I responsibly use social media to amplify youth voices, highlighting Rajasthan's climate challenges like desertification and sustainable agriculture, and connect them with global climate goals discussed at COP30. Through leadership, innovation, and collective effort, I empower other young people to believe in their role as a change maker, contributing to a climate resilient and sustainable future. According to me, other measures which institution could get is like tax the polluters, invest in green jobs. In conclusion, effective climate action is only possible when young people are not just consulted, but genuinely empowered as co-creators of policy and implementation strategies, leveraging their energy and innovation to build a just, sustainable, and resilient future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tista. Is it sorted, Ishika? Maybe you can try.
Very much. I think we will conclude this session. It was pleasure, listening to these four young people who have understood the COP30 and summarizing the conclusions of the COP30 and the outcomes of the COP30. What was important and gratifying for me that our young people are showing a lot of interest in the environmental awareness, and I must thank Kalyan ji and Rajiv ji and others who are involving them, engaging them in these discussions. Because what's important is that they say that we have not inherited this planet Earth from our forefathers. We have merely borrowed it from our young people, from our future generations. So it's our responsibility to protect this and preserve this planet Earth for our future generations. Now when we talk about the practices that need to be, because it's not only talk, it's about walking that talk, and walking that talk at an individual level, at a personal level. The four speakers which we had, they talked about the resilience, in adopting to the to the techniques or maybe the lifestyle, which will help us protect the environment, which will help us at a local level, at our own. In fact, what I said in my opening remarks also, that we have to act locally. As I said, my film on climate change, we have seen how locally we are impacted by the climate change and the global warming. So similarly, if we do small actions at our home, this will help us, reduce the carbon emissions and protect the environment, and reduce the emissions. Like other day, we had a meeting in our university, and one of the experts who came, she suggested that why are so many lights on in this room, while we can open the curtains and allow the sunlight to come in. That will be sufficient for us to conduct this meeting. And it was done, and the meeting was conducted. Similarly, most of us sleep in air conditioned rooms and use very thick blankets. if we switch off the air conditioner and use a thin blanket or maybe a sheet, we are saving a lot of carbon emissions. These are small things that can be done. Similarly, say when we are brushing our teeth, we keep the tap open. Can we inculcate these small habits in ourselves? And then through our social media, I was so happy when Tista talked about responsible use of social media. Can we use social media for amplifying these small things that we do at our own level and reach more and more people, so that it becomes our individual effort will become a collective outcome, because other people will also follow that. As I said in the beginning also, we have not reinvented the wheel has already been invented. We have to only try to understand and find, with the help of the technology that is there, to understand what good practices are being followed at other places, and then amplify them and bring them and adopt them at our local places. And somebody also said, to grow vegetables in our own homes. Even if you don't have enough space, I can understand, in big cities we don't have enough of the space available. In Kashmir we have the advantage that we have big houses with big lawns and all, and so we can grow trees in our neighborhood, in our around our house. But maybe in big cities where we live in apartment buildings, but there are spaces where we can put some green plants. We can put some, what we call these small pots in which we can grow some vegetables also. Or maybe now there is technology available that we can grow on the walls. If you have the walls around your house, or maybe in the terrace, you can grow, vertically you can create a garden of your own. So these small things need to be done at our own level, and I am happy that our young generation is so, keen to adopt to the, practices that are more environment friendly, and together I am sure we will create an impact. So I must thank the organizers for organizing this session, for this internship program that is being conducted. And I must again, thank the youngest person, Kalyan Kothari ji, for engaging all of us and engaging with our youth, and also Raju Tikuji and Manisha. Thank you very much for conducting this program. And back to you. Thank you very much.
It's really kind of you to spare time.
My pleasure always.
We are now.
Am I allowed to leave?
Maybe we can have a screenshot of the session. So if all of you can switch on your cameras, I'll just quickly take a screenshot. Smiling faces. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
We
much.
now move to our next session, session 3B, that is Youth at COP30 and Beyond. I now request Dr. Richa Yadav, Acting Dean, Faculty of Mass Communication, Haridev Joshi University of Journalism and Mass Communication, to please join us. I request you to please be the session chair. We also have with us Yuva speakers. We have Tanveer Pur Sachdeva, who is a journalist with Indian Express Delhi. We have R.K. Mukhopadhyay from West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Sciences, Bengal. We have Ravi Ranjan Kumar. He's the team leader with Green Swagatam. That's a real estate company. He's from Bihar. And we have Shubh Agarwal. He's a CA finalist, Institute of Chartered Accounts, India. He's from Gujarat. We also have Ishika Bhardwaj in this session. So over to you, Dr. Yadav. I now request you to please deliver your address.
Yeah. Thank you, Ishika. Let me check with the technical thing. Is my mic working?
Yes, it's working.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Manisha. I'm so sorry, Manisha. Thank you. And good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for making me a part of this great initiative. I'm glad to be among these young change makers who have already taken their first step towards this a very serious issue of concern, that is climate crisis. I'm sure throughout the day, all of you have discussed about COP30, its theme. Primarily, what I understood is that its theme was to curb heavy investments on fossil fuels and to support robust planning, wherein the developed countries must ensure low carbon economies in a social just way, which they also talk about, which they also term it as just transition mechanism. As far as my observations for COP30 are concerned, I would like to underscore two major points. First is that they have also talked about GAP, which is the Gender Action Plan, uh, which implies that gender equality needs to be integrated in all verticals when it comes to climate actions. Women voices need to be heard, and women leadership needs to be encouraged when it comes to decision making and policy making, be it climate action, be it coming up with the solution for this climate crisis. Then the second thing, which is also related with our field, because we come from the mass communication area, and wherein the biggest threat is fake news, misinformation. So they have also underscored this thing that an effort should be made to combat misinformation, and it is also required to build an information integrity when it comes to climate crisis. Now when we talk about yet youth at COP30, so I believe that they have got a very well fitted platform to express their perspectives about climate justice, climate crisis, and etc. But we are also happy to see that these young champions are coming forward and they are taking lead. And it is also very imperative for them now, because they will be the most effective if they do not take an immediate action to this. So it's good that they are getting that platform. But again, now, like you have given me this topic that what is beyond COP30. So beyond COP30, they also need spaces to talk about this issue, and they also need support, adequate support from all the agencies, be it the government agencies, be it the the local people, communities, and all, wherein their voices can be heard, and they can talk about them, and they can advocate people at their communities, and they can go for this social mobilization. So what I believe is that they need to go to uh, local authorities, and then schools. They must go to schools and talk to school students to raise their issues of concern. Here I would like to I do not know how are they going about it,
Ma'am,
but as we
sorry
see,
for interrupting, but there's something wrong with your mic. There's crackling.
okay, let me check. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible. You were audible before also, but there's some crackling and
I don't know. My Wi-Fi is perfect as far as I can see it. So do you want me to go again, or I shall go ahead?
Ma'am, continue. I think we should be able to manage.
please
Yeah,
continue.
ma'am, please continue. We should be able to manage. Yeah.
Okay. See, these technical barriers have always been an issue of concern when it comes to online meetings or conferences. So all of us need to be well prepared, and that something like this will happen. So okay, so when I was talking about it, I also want to talk about when these young people are working on any issue, they need to work with we talk about a smart model. That smart model talks about that whatever issue of concern you want to talk about, you have to adopt a smart model wherein you should go for a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals. So it is very, very important, because you cannot have everything in your kitty. You need to take up one particular issue and then work throughout on it, and you need to also find out what are the outcomes. Am I audible now, or no, it's breaking?
It's okay, ma'am. Going on well.
Do you want me to join it through mobile then? Shall I do this?
No, ma'am, it's fine. Please carry on.
Achha, okay. Okay, sir. Uh, So when we talk about these things, I believe now, because we are talking to netizens, and they know the best possible ways to use the social media tools and platforms. So I urge them to make the best use of them. Probably they may go for Insta Reels, Shorts, and podcasts to uh, talk to their communities and to advocate whatever they want to talk about. Here, from this platform, I would like to talk about three issues which I feel is uh, three issues which I feel are very very important, and which should be which need a kind attention of everyone. If they really want to go about and bring change, there is one thing which they need to talk about, which is consumerism. Consumerism is what I will go what Mahatma Gandhi ji had said, that there is enough for everyone's greed, but it's not enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone's need, but it's not enough for everyone's greed. So we need to limit our hoarding patterns of consuming commodities. Like if we want to have 20 pair of jeans, but what it is doing, it is affecting the climate, it is doing the depletion of the resources, and it is going against the theme of sustainable development. So here, the young champions which are here who are listening to me, I will request them that please uh, you also advocate this, and this also requires self-regulation. So you need to ask the others also that they need to combat this consumerism, and they need to talk about it, that how in the we can stop this hoarding of resources, and then saving it for the future generations. Then the second thing, it can be the this over usage of mobile phones. uh, I'm a teacher, and when I go to university, I interact with the students, like it is our daily activity. And when I go there, I find that one student is having two mobile phones. Why, what is the need? I mean, I'm sure you also understand that this overusage of mobile phones is also creating climate crisis and affecting our climate, because it is creating carbon footprint, and even the data consumption is also affecting the climate. It is not only about affecting the climate, it is also affecting our physical as well as mental health. So I think that this is also a very important issue of concern, and it should begin right from the schools also, because now we can witness that even school students are into the habit of using mobile phones. So rather than controlling, we are increasing the usage of mobile phones, which is affecting the climate as well. Because I was reading a report that it's not just about mental physical health, it is affecting the climate also. So that also needs to be addressed. Then the third thing, like today only I read it in a newspaper that use of pesticides in while growing crops and vegetables and fruits and all. So that use of pesticides, today I was reading in a newspaper that now the these pesticide particles are found in the air also, and then they mix with the clouds, and then we get what we call acid rains. So we also need to mobilize people, especially people who are concerned with this agriculture sector, to stop use of pesticides. So I think uh, when we talk about these specific issues, they can pick any of these issues and then they can talk about it. Then there is another thing which I need to mention, that most of the times we talk about tacit and explicit knowledge. So tacit is whatever is explicit is whatever is available, whatever we are consuming, whatever we are getting and listening to. But tacit is which is very innate. So we need to also connect with the elderly people and find out solutions, that what are the viable solutions for these problems. So, and one more thing, that they also must use certain theories. That theoretical understanding is also important when it comes to the practical approach. So there is a theory which is known as inoculation theory. Has anyone heard about it? Inoculation theory.
Yeah, I have heard about it. It's something related to immunization.
Right. So inoculation theory is, I mean, we all understand it's related, we understand it as if it is a medical term, but it can also, it can be applicable for climate thing also, wherein inoculation, what do? We give a weak virus to our body, like we inject a weak virus in our body to fight the stronger virus, right? So similarly, when it comes to this climate information, misinformation, we try to deal with the community by giving them a weaker misinformation and then making them, for instance, like we are telling them no, humans are not doing anything wrong with the climate, they are not responsible for it, right? And we go and we talk to the people and we are telling this thing. Now what is, there will be certain people who will be resilient to this, who will not, they will resist this, they will not accept this, and through that we are creating that resilience, that if in the near future they are coming to know, they are coming across certain news regarding this, or some certain strong misinformation regarding this, they can understand this and they can refuse to accept it. Then there is another theory which we also encourage, especially in teaching area, but that can also be replicated here, which is also known as gamification theory. So now gamification theory is what, when you go to the people, you want to interact with them, and with the younger generation, you introduce certain games, certain exercises which encourages community engagement. Why? Because this theory is also, it is based on self-determination theory and flow theory, which means balancing challenge with new skill sets creation, right? And it also helps in creating competence among the individuals. So certain exercises, certain activities should also be used while engaging with the target audience. Well, this is all from my side. Thank you very much. And now I would like to listen to the young people here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Richa Yadav, for your special address. We now have with us the Yuva speakers. I will going ahead. I now invite Arka to share his insights.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening. My name is Arka Mukhopadhyay, and I am a student of final year of Dairy Technology in West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Sciences. So, the COP30, which is held as an Amazonian awakening in Belém, marked a pivotal shift where global leaders finally recognized nature as a partner, elevated youth from protesters to active solution builders. Through initiatives such as Global Mutirao, the younger generation is now driving practical innovations to bridge the last mile between climate awareness and concrete action. This brings me to my home ground, West Bengal, and my specific domain, dairy technology. In Bengal, we face a crisis that directly threatens the COP30, like methane emissions. Livestock is a significant contributor to enteric methane, greenhouse gas 80 times more potent than CO2 in the short term. Heat stress, as temperatures rise, our crossbred cattle suffer from heat stress, causing milk yields to plummet and increasing disease. Economic migration. Rural youth are fleeing villages because traditional dairy farming is seen as dirty, unprofitable work, leading to urban overcrowding. So my solution, the pro-bio circular dairy model. My proposal, that I'm currently pivoting as my part of the final year project, is the Bengal Eco Dairy Hub. It is an intervention designed to enable dairy farming, climate smart, and youth causing stress have three pillars. Like my rule one is probiotic intervention for methane reduction. The take, we cannot simply tell a poor farmer to stop emitting methane. We must give them a tool that pays. I promise the introduction of a low-cost indigenous probiotic supplement containing strains Lactobacillus planetarium, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So how it works? So it mainly works on the three principles. When added to cattle food, these problems shift the rumen fermentation pathway. They utilize the hydrogen in the cow stomach to produce propionate energy instead of methane. The result, we reduce enteric methane emissions up to 20%, while simultaneously increasing milk yield up to 10 to 15% of better digestion. It aligns climate goals with farmers' profit. Now, the organic closed loop system, we often view cow dung as waste. In my mind model, cow dung is a primary asset. If every dairy unit is coupled with a micro biogas plant, a vermicompost unit, the biogas powers the farm's chilling units, solving the electricity. The slurry from the biogas plant is converted into liquid gold, premium organic fertilizer. We can also use the fertilizer to grow azolla and hydroponic fodder. This eliminates the needs for chemical fertilizer, restoring the soil health. The Gangetic Delta, who has been managed by the chemical overuse. And part three is rural entrepreneurship. This is where the youth came in. We will move away from the maintenance model to the hub and spoke entrepreneurship model and envision a network where one dairy technology graduate, the hub supports 20 households, the spokes. The graduate manages the quality control, supplies the probiotic culture, processes the milk into high-value products such as Mishti Doi probiotic lassi. By processing at a village level, we return 100% of the value chain of the village. These farms and dairy farmer into agro-industrialist, making the profession attractive to young person again. And finally, my excellent solution, that is conclusion. To conclude, we often wait for a silver bullet to solve climate change. There is no silver bullet, but there is green gold. The solution proposes that the pro-bio circular dairy model, excellent initiative, and it's stable. It does not require billions of foreign aid. It requires knowledge transfer. We can implement in just one district of West Bengal. We can prevent tons of carbon equivalent emissions. We generate acres of cell, and we report hundreds of jobs. My commitment to COP is that now I will not just graduate with a degree, I will graduate with a vision. So let us stop looking at the sky for rain and start looking at the soil and struggle for solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Arka. I now invite Ravi Ranjan Kumar. Ravi Ranjan Kumar, is he here?
हाँ, आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
Yes, we can hear you, Ravi.
व्यक्तियों का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूँ कि आपने मुझे इस मंच पर अपने विचार साझा करने का अवसर प्रदान किया है। ब्राजील में हुए COP30 हम 29 विषयों पर विचार विमर्श किया गया। उसमें एक विषय लैंगिक समानता भी था। हम सब जानते हैं कि COP30 ने लैंगिक संवेदनशील नीतियों और स्वदेशी नेतृत्व को एकीकृत करते हुए समानता, क्लाइमेट जस्टिस, पारदर्शिता एवं अंतर पीढ़ीगत अधिकारों को मजबूत किया है। साथियों, मैं बिहार राज्य से आता हूं और जब मैं सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पंजाब में था तो वहां पर बहुत सारी लड़कियों से बात की और समझा कि समाज में कुछ सच्चाई आज भी जीवंत कहानियों की तरह सर्वव्यापी है और उसमें से एक है लैंगिक भेदभाव जो बच्चे के जन्म के साथ ही शुरू हो जाता है। अगर किसी घर में बच्चा पैदा हुआ है तो आप परिजनों के चेहरे देखकर ही अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि लड़का हुआ है या लड़की। यदि घर के बड़ों के चेहरे उतरे हुए हों तो समझ लीजिए कि बेटी का जन्म हुआ है और यदि घर में उत्साह और खिलखिलाहट हो तो मान लीजिए कि लड़का हुआ है। यही शुरुआती मनोधारणाएं आगे चलकर गहरी रूढ़िवादी सोच का रूप ले लेती है तथा इसी पितृसत्तात्मक सोच और सामाजिक पाबंदियों की बेड़ियों में मैंने ना जाने कितनी लड़कियों की अभिलाषाओं और उनके अरमानों को दफन होते देखा है, जो सामाजिक विकास के लिए सबसे बड़ा अभिशाप है। एक लड़की जो अपने पति पर आश्रित होकर जीती है तो अपने हर वो सपने को मार देती है जो खुद के पैसों से फैसले ले सकती थी। इसलिए आज मैं पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ यह कहना चाहता हूं कि COP30 का लक्ष्य हम सब के लिए तभी सफल हो पाएगा जब हम इसे ग्रामीण स्तर पर अमल कर पाएंगे। और कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि लैंगिक समानता केवल एक सामाजिक मुद्दा या नैतिक बहस का विषय नहीं है, बल्कि यह हमारे देश की उन्नति के लिए एक अनिवार्य राष्ट्रीय आवश्यकता है। मैंने इस पर एक कविता भी लिखी है जो समाज में लड़कियों की महत्ता को दर्शाता है कि यदि मेरा अस्तित्व ना होता तो तेरा वजूद भी ना होता, ये खुदा ना होता, ये जहां ना होता। यदि मेरा अस्तित्व ना होता तो तेरा वजूद भी ना होता। स्त्री और पुरुष इन दो पहियों पर ही यह मानव रथ गतिमान है। यदि एक भी अक्ष विकृत हो तो थमता संपूर्ण समाज का अभियान है। साहित्य, विज्ञान और खेल के मैदान में भी नारी का सिक्का चलता है। स्त्री भी इतना शक्ति है वो कर जो पुरुष करके इतराता है। कल्पना करो यदि सृष्टि में नारी का अंश ना होता तो क्या होता? इस धरा पर जीवन का कोई नामो निशान ना होता। यदि मेरा अस्तित्व ना होता तो तेरा वजूद भी ना होता। ये खुदा ना होता, ये जहां ना होता। यदि मेरा अस्तित्व ना होता तो तेरा वजूद भी ना होता। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Ravi. We now move to our next speaker, Ishika. Ishika Bhardwaj.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Ishika, finally.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ishika Bhardwaj, and I'm currently doing my degree in BGMC in Haridev Joshi University, located in Jaipur, Rajasthan. And today I'm very honored and grateful for the chance here to be able to speak here on such an important and timely topic. Thank you. So today I'll be talking about the COP30, its outcome, and the role of youth in shaping a sustainable future. Climate change is a global problem. The Conference of the Parties, or COP, is where nearly 200 countries come together each year to cooperate and negotiate climate action. COP30, held from November 10 to 22 in Belém, Brazil, reviewed global progress and aimed to push nations closer to the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris Agreement goal. This COP witnessed powerful movements, challenges, and intense negotiations. Indigenous communities protested outside the venue, raising concerns about deforestation. Global analysis showed the expected temperature rise by 2100 has decreased from 3.6 to 2.6 degrees Celsius. Yet the 1.5 degrees Celsius target is still far. A fire inside the venue briefly paused the discussion on November 20th, but the negotiations continued with determination. Inside the negotiation room, countries debated funding for developing nations, renewable energy transitions, accessible technology, gender and climate justice, and protecting rainforests. Some discussions were so complex that the conference extended by an extra day. However, the COP is not just an end, it's a checkpoint. Countries now must implement promises, increase renewable energy adaptation, raise climate ambition, prepare stronger commitment for the COP31. Real climate actions begin after the COP. This is where we, the youth, became crucial. We are the generation most affected by climate change. Yet we also have the power to push meaningful change. Globally, youth influence discussions on climate finance, education, nature protection, and renewable energies. As young people, we are uniquely positioned to make a difference. Our digital connectivity and creativity allow us to reach millions with ideas and campaign. Personally, in my opinion, I think we can tell inspiring stories like the Pigeon Man of Pulkindu or environmental heroes like the local environmental heroes through films, reels, blogs, or even podcasts. Lead online campaigns, start awareness drives, social media challenges, and initiatives promoting sustainable habits. Push for climate friendly policies, funding, and environmental protections. Take action locally, organize tree planting drives, cleanups, and even workshops on recycling and water conservation. Innovate and collaborate together for development of eco-friendly solutions and work with NGOs, startups, or global networks. Educate, educate and inspire peers. Show by example that small and consistent actions create meaningful change. The youth have the creativity, energy, and tools to fast forward climate action when systems show down. COP30 sets the agenda, but it is our stories, our action, and our voices that turn agreements into reality. The theme of COP30 says it the best, rewinding COP30 and fast forwarding empowered youth leaders. If COP30 was about global negotiation, the future is about us, our choices, our leadership, and our responsibility. A sustainable future depends on what we do today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishika. I now invite Shubh Agarwal.
Good evening, everyone. I'm audible.
Am I audible?
We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shubh Agarwal, a CA finalist and an entrepreneur in sustainability from Ahmedabad. Just a few weeks ago, the eyes of the world were fixed on Belém, Brazil. The famous COP30 session was underway, and the Amazon was on the hot seat, quite literally. From its inception, COP has promoted dialogue to facilitate sustainability. Yet, these dialogues often fail when it comes to the most important part, that is action. We see a recurring pattern. Exploitative countries keep promising funds to help developing countries transition. Yet, the promised billions and trillions of money hasn't come as of yet. They fail to commit the funds and the mechanism to distribute them. Let us be very clear. These nations became developed by exploiting others, and they have shown little intention to repay that debt. This brings us, the developing nations, to a turning point. We must turn our backs on dependency and shift our focus entirely to self-resiliency. My dear friends, हमारी पहचान भारत से है, विश्व गुरु भारत, a land known by many names, but always defined by its wisdom. As Dr. K.G. Suresh said earlier, the crisis is staring at us, and it falls upon us to teach sustainability and self-reliance to the world. It is our responsibility to show how nations can work together and rise, not by waiting for handouts, but by building solutions. Coming from a multidisciplinary background and as an HP Dream champion for social impact, I believe my duty is not just to attend these conferences, but to innovate and implement. I live in Ahmedabad, an urban heat island. My city has a bold goal for net zero by 2070, but goals are for the future. We need action today. Our city faces two massive interconnected crises. First, the waste crisis. We are expanding and rebuilding our city constantly. The debris of the old city is cast aside into landfills as garbage. But I tell you, this isn't garbage. It is an urban mine. We have valuable resources sitting in our rubble. Yet, we treat it like trash. We must circularize this economy. Second, the health crisis. Ahmedabad is arguably diabetes and cardiovascular disease capital in India. As our city heats up, the heart struggles. There is a direct link between rising temperature and cardiac arrest. Through my work, we are tackling this by training citizens in CPR and building public health resilience. We are proving that we cannot fix the climate without fixing public health. So, what is the path forward? The answer lies in open source solutions. If we solve the waste problem in Ahmedabad, we shouldn't patent it behind high walls. We should share the playbook with Jakarta, with Lagos, with Belém. We need to democratize our data. If I find a way to cool down a neighborhood using recycled construction waste, that knowledge belongs to the world. This is the true spirit of Vishwaguru. Not dominance, but leadership through service. Let us build a resilient Ahmedabad so that when the world asks, how do we survive the next 30 years, we don't just give them a speech, we give them a blueprint. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Shubh. Is Tanveer here?
Yes, I'm here. Pardon me because I'm not well actually.
Okay. Thanks for joining, Tanveer. You may now proceed with your insights.
Just a moment, can I?
Yes. Just give a brief introduction and then you may proceed with your.
Okay.
And switch on the camera also if that's possible. It would be great.
No, actually I'm not well. I'm not in the professional attire, so.
Okay, please go ahead.
Please. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tanveer Kaur, a journalist with the Indian Express covering the geopolitical beat and a law aspirant. I'm really glad to be the part of this important conversation on Beyond COP30, Empowering Youth for Climate Action, wherein we are discussing youth participation and urgency to call for climate change. Before diving into the conversation, it's important to briefly talk about COP30. COP30 is the 30th conference of the parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. It is a global platform where countries come together to discuss climate goals, review progress, and commit to future action. This year, COP30 event took place in Brazil, where all world leaders convened together over climate action. However, conversations at COP are often filled with technical terms, numbers, target, and timelines, which can be difficult for lay people to understand. This is where storytelling becomes a powerful This is where storytelling becomes powerful. Stories help to translate complex climate negotiation into human experiences. They remind us that climate change is not just about emission, it is about health, livelihood, inequality, and the future we are creating. Media coverage plays a crucial role in carrying these stories. Beyond conference halls, journalists act as the bridge between global climate negotiation and the public, ensuring that decisions taken at COP are understood, questioned, and followed up. In the Indian context, we have seen how sustained media reporting has helped people connect climate and environmental issues to daily realities. Over time, environmental problems stopped being seen as distant or seasonal and instead became a urgent public concern. A clear example of this is urban air pollution. For many years, air quality was discussed mainly through data and scientific reports. But when media coverage focused on lived experiences, children falling sick, outdoor workers exposed to toxic air, schools closing, and hospital reporting rising cases, air pollution became a public health and governance issue. In cities like Delhi, this storytelling helped push pollution into public debate, courtrooms, and policy discussion. It showed how environmental issues are deeply linked to climate action, governance, and accountability. This is exactly how global platforms like COP30 connect to local realities. If COP30 sets global commitments, storytelling and media ensure those commitments translate into action on the ground. For young people engaging with climate action through storytelling, whether as a journalist, researcher, activist, or digital creator, it is a powerful way to participate, influence policy, and drive real change beyond COP30. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanveer. I now request Dr. Richa to please give her concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha. I was happy when I was listening to all of these young participants, and I felt that they are very well oriented when it comes to the concept of climate action, climate crisis. So I really like their clarity of thought. All of them have talked about like what are the issues of concern and how what was the main agenda of COP30 that was there. But then they also talked about that what is happening in nearby places, and how can they act rightfully to deal with them. For instance, like Arka had talked about soil health, fertilizers, and knowledge transfer. And so I could relate with whatever I wanted to share with them, that yes, there are so many things that you need to take up a particular issue and then you talk about them. Like Shubh talk about this, that this knowledge sharing is again very important, and public health resilience needs to be maintained. So that is one of the valid points, and I completely agree with that. So that was really good. Then our very own Ishika, because she comes from my university only. So and finally she could get a chance to speak. So Ishika also talked about certain things, and the foremost thing is that all of them are very clear about the concept of climate change and crisis. Then Ravi Ranjan also talked about gender sensitivity, gender equality, which I had also talked about this, gap thing. And then Tanveer in the end talked about storytelling, and to talk about local realities. We need to go global to deal with this situation. So yes, all of them made a lot of sense to me for this session, and I wish them all the very best. And I would also request them that in future you can actually, like, whatever you have learned so far, you need to translate them into actions. So I really want them to take crystal crisp more goal-oriented actions in the near future and keep going. And I wish them all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Richa Yadav, for joining us. We now move to our next session. That's the valedictory session. It has been a long day, and I now request Rajiv sir to please take over.
Yeah, thank you, Manisha. Thank you very much for walking
So
us
your
through
video is not on.
my video is on.
Just a second, maybe. No, video is on. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Manisha, for your conduct of the last two sessions. And it has been a long day, really, and I'm really it's appreciable that our participants have stayed on.
Your voice is not coming, Rajiv ji, properly. Your audio is not loud enough.
Okay, I'll try to be louder, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Manisha, for conducting last two sessions. And since we're already late, I'll try to keep my remarks to the minimum. And I'm delighted to welcome to this session Mr. Rajendra Banamut ji, who has retired as a senior IAS officer and is currently trustee of Foundation for Education and Development. And they're doing wonderful work across various areas in the state of Rajasthan. And though it's not very highly visible at the national level, but the kind of work they have done and are doing is really path-breaking. And I'm also delighted to welcome our Sri Kalyan Singh Kothari ji to this session, who has been patiently waiting all through and joining us all the way from US. Thank you, Kothari sir, for being there. And I'll invite now Sri Banawat sir to deliver his concluding address.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. Rajiv ji, Kothari sir, for giving me this chance to be with you this evening. And at the outset, let me congratulate on your ability, amazing ability to fix in around 20 plus speakers in 7 sessions in 2 to 3 hours. And that's amazing, really, I would say. And I was just looking at the number of participants, that's on the lighter side. So I'll not make it very technical. I just, as I say, for the young participants who are here, just a few in the form of points, I think, if they can take away since the last session here. First thing is, I had a chance to be heading the literacy campaign in Rajasthan in the early 90s, in the last century, 90 to 96, 97, for 6-7 years, I had headed the literacy campaign. That is why my special interest in talking to the youth. The literacy campaign was run in Rajasthan by about 1 million youth volunteers from all over the places in Rajasthan, and who were able to make around 10 million illiterates literate in Rajasthan. So therefore, that is the first thing I want to say, that it is very good initiative to involve youth into any such activity which has to do with community and maybe communicating with the community and taking them along. That's number one. Point number two is, once they talk to the community, I think my just a piece of advice to them is that let's not put ourselves on a higher pedestal. When we had the volunteers who were trying to talk to them, they thought that if they are the illiterate, we are the educated ones and we are in the higher pedestal, they are the lower pedestal. No. When you work with the community, the one thing to remember is that it is a two-way traffic. I used to tell them, and I want to tell again this youth who are gathered here, that whenever you talk to anybody about the climate change in the community, certainly give away what you have. I mean, whatever you learned through this session, or you know all technical details, etc. But also, please remember that they have lived through ages, and that wisdom of the past, their wisdom in the culture and heritage of our country, can also teach you a lesson, which this principle we should never forget.
So thank you again for joining us and taking our time.